Welcome to the Fantasy Football Lounge. We have the Chaz in here wearing a fucking blanket. Are you in Alaska? What's going on here, man?
It's just a long day at work. Very tired. I just want to get wrapped up in the blanket in the Rob Squared professional fanatic shirt and hat, by the way. I don't know
I
if
do
you
like the
guys saw
gear,
that
but
too.
so are you going to pull a story and start drinking tea on the program too?
No, I don't have any tea or anything like that. I won't be doing that.
56 days until the NFL kicks off. That is from Blake, our media manager, our dude. What's up, Blake? And then kind of a funny thing that happened in soccer today. I saw the Discord drown that says, yo, England couldn't hold a 13 colony lead. What makes you think they could hold a 1-0 lead? Take that, England. Guess what? We got our independence because you guys couldn't you were trying to tax us without representation, and now you can't win and go to the finals? They're out. They're gone. They're done. Sayonara. Were they major
Well,
underdog or favorites in that game?
no, it was like 50-50. They scored their one goal and then they parked the bus, is what some people called it. They stopped really trying to score goals and try to play defense, and you can't do that against Argentina. That's been shown in that Switzerland game.
That's kind of what happened with the Eagles last year, right? Exactly what the Eagles were doing last year. They get a lead, they
Yeah,
just stop trying. They just stop trying.
Excuse me, sir. This is private property. What are you doing?
Just taking it all in.
You're staring at my daughter's bedroom.
She's really grown into her body. This is going to be a fun summer for her.
Will it be a fun season for the Eagles? That's a topic for another day, unless we get J-Bob in here, and then we'll ruffle some feathers. But I do want to talk about tight ends today, the tightest of ends. We have the tight end preview. We're going through Fantasy Pros ECR, their tiers, talking all things tight ends. Before we get to that, though, Chaz, I got a few things for you, per usual. We
yeah.
have a stat of the day. Let's get to a stat of the day for you. And this is an Eagle stat, so kind of what we were just talking about. Tank Bigsby, Mr. Tank Bigsby, has been downright amazing the last 2 years. Running back 1 in yards after contact per carry since 2024. Running back 2 in tackles avoided per carry behind only Kenneth Walker, our boy, the Tiny Dancer. And then 1 of 7 running backs with explosive rush rate of over 10%. So this is in limited samples. Last year was a very limited sample than the previous year with Jacksonville. But I'm going to phrase it. I think we all agree Tank Bigsby is probably one of the top 3 handcuffs this year. Would you put him there?
You can put them, I'll say top five, because there are three guys I would like better. Like I'd much rather have
Who are those 3 guys? Pacheco?
yeah, Pacheco, Algier, and then actually Brian Robinson back in the Bichon.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think we've seen
I'll say
Bigsby
top
be
five.
better. I mean, Pacheco, we still have the questions about the injury, but good call. And Tyler Algier is destined to be a handcuff running back, like the number 1 handcuff every year until he's like 50. In
Yeah.
2038, we're still be talking about Tyler Algier as a premier handcuff. He's not even going to be in the fucking NFL. We're like, but Tyler Algier, guys, Tyler Algier. I guess the handcuff thing aside, is this enough? Tank Bigsby was better than Saquon last year. I know it's weird because it was a small sample, but he was better. Saquon was not dusty, but I think he was feeling the effects of that 450 touch season we saw the year previous. He's 1 year older. Is there a chance Tank Bigsby actually carves out a relevant role without injury? And it's not so much we want to start Tank Bigsby. Would it make you cooler on Saquon if you know that maybe we anticipate he's going to get 5 or 6 touches behind Saquon? What if it's 7 or 8? What if it's 8 touches a game because he's so good when he's in the game? And instead of Saquon getting 22, he gets 18, which makes a big difference.
I mean, the thing about Saquon is that last year he just didn't have those explosive touches. Like they rarely came about. So obviously, if he starts stealing away those kind of touches and he can't get those kind of explosive plays, I think he'll still be a top 12 running back. He just won't have that, top 3 potential. So it would be big, but I still would think he would easily be a top 12 running back based off of him getting those valuable touches.
Silent says, what are your thoughts about CD? What's going on, Silent, first and foremost? What are your thoughts on CD, Pickens, and Dak stack in best ball? So a few years ago, Burrow, Higgins, Chase won the $1 Million League. So essentially what you'd have to do to get this stack is take CD at 10. You have to reach on Pickens at pick 15 and then get Dak around 70-ish or whatever it would be. I don't know, man. That's a lot. It makes sense. Like if it was worth it for anyone, it would be this offense. I think his defense can be a little better. You think it's worth it to go that? Because that is reaching. That's reaching 7 picks on Pickens. So what do you think?
I don't mind it, actually. Thinking about it like that, I don't mind it. It's just you have to be extremely bold on them to take Pickens over, a guy like Saquon or Genty or some of those other guys
A.J.
like
Brown or
Etienne.
Drake London just at the same
Yeah, Drake
position.
London. Yeah, you would have to take him over Drake London at that point because it's just you have to be very bullish.
I would much prefer, and I understand it's like that's the numbers game, and let's take the elite guys. I would much prefer either taking Ryan Flournoy, right? Just choose CD or Pickens, whoever you get, and then back it up with Ryan Flournoy in the fucking 13th round. Or if you want to go Ferguson, or if you want to go with Javonte Williams, who had a couple touchdown receptions last year. He's a capable pass catcher. Like those are cheaper options to get the same, not the same result, obviously, but the same idea of buying. You're going all in on the Cowboys, right? And there's a lot of ways to go about it. It's possible, though. The point is, it's very possible. All you do is reach on Pickens 7 picks. I just don't do business that way personally, but it's going to be a unique stack because how many people are actually going to do that? How many people are willing to take George Pickens at pick 15? My answer would probably be not very many.
Yeah, not many. So, plus I'm also a little bit lower on George Pickens this year.
Same.
I don't know if I was mentioning this to you earlier, but I just traded him in one of my dynasty leagues for Lad McConkey in a first. So I feel pretty good about that move. I thought I was selling high on Pickens, and I'm wheels up on Lad McConkey this year.
It's a smart trade because we know Lad McConkey's future, right? And we don't know about the player, but we know he's tied to Justin Herbert. We don't know George Pickens' future for many reasons. Is he going to be in an insane asylum next year? Like, we don't know if he's going to pull a Brandon Ayuk. I mean, would it surprise you? There's like a 10% outcome where he is just not out of the league or anything, but he tanks his value. He's an idiot this year. We don't know where he plays next year. Or he goes to a team like the Browns or some shitter organization. No offense to the Browns. But, like, the stability you're getting there with Lad, even though I much prefer Pickens over Lad, but the first round pick, you get 2 bites of the apple there.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking even just for this year, like I could see if Lad really performs well, he could be competing with Pickens in terms of who's scoring more fantasy points total this year. Obviously, I'd much rather have Pickens just before the season, but things can always change once the season starts.
Alvin Kamara did re-up his contract, so he is coming back. So I've been taking a decent amount of Kamara recently, not a lot, like 8% or 10%, but with the uncertainty now, I'm guessing he's going to go up by 10 or 12 picks in best ball, just based on the news. I already assumed he was coming back. I didn't know. I knew he wouldn't play for another team, and they need him, right? Devin Neal, they don't have a lot there. Kendra Miller, like they want the veteran, the pass catcher, and Travis Etienne. Yeah,
I mean, and also it kind of shoots Etienne in the foot just a little bit. I mean, obviously, Kamara's not just gonna. He's not gonna give up full reins in that situation. So I would like to see how that goes with him and Etienne in that backfield.
Santonio says Mike Washington Jr. is a fantastic handcuff this year. Same with Woody Marks. So the Mike Washington thing, in theory, yes, he would be a fantastic handcuff. There's not a lot behind him, but let's not forget, it's not like Mike Washington was a second-round pick. I mean, the metrics were off the charts. He should have been a second-round pick, but what was it, a fourth-round pick for Mike Washington Jr. in the draft?
I think it was some related.
Extremely raw. You know what I mean? Extremely raw. And when he, if he got into relevance, and wouldn't be in the beginning of the year, most likely middle to end of the year with these running back handcuffs, do they really want to trust him in a full snap share with a rookie quarterback when Mendoza's assumingly there? Like, I don't know, man. Mike Washington has some major issues in pass pro, and he's just a raw prospect. So I go back to the Braylon Allen thing 2 years ago when we all like Braylon Allen's the guy. Braylon Allen is actually eating into Breece Hall's workload, right? Like a lot, 40%. And then Breece Hall gets hurt, and then here comes Isaiah Davis actually out-snapping Braylon Allen. So we all were really confident that Braylon Allen was the guy, and it ended up happening. The injury happened to Breece Hall, and we were shit out of luck. We were getting like 9 PPR points a game for Braylon Allen. So that could be the Mike Washington thing. Yes, if it hits and he is the handcuff, he is such an elite like fantasy asset because of his speed and power. Decent pass catcher as well, but like there's a chance he's not the guy, where I think we assume Woody Marks would be the guy, right? Woody Marks, we're set in stone in that elite tier in terms of workload if there was an injury to David Montgomery.
Yeah, I mean, just as you said, when a guy falls all the way to the fourth round, it's got to be for a reason. Teams just don't let guys that are extremely good slip past the second or third round. And also another backup that we weren't kind of talking about is Blake Corum. I know we're talking about kind of handcuffs and
Yeah,
stuff like
I
that.
can't count
He's
him as
not
a
a
handcuff
backup.
though, because
Well,
he's
he's
going
not
in
a
the eighth
backup
round.
for handcuff, but still, I mean that's technically it is a backup dash handcuff. But yes, I mean
Yeah,
it's just a shared committee. But no, I mean Woody Marks could be if he just actually gets fully healthy and Montgomery goes down, that could be a pretty good RB1 going forward.
Zach Charbonnet. I actually think Zach Charbonnet is a starter when he comes back. But
He
you know
should
what?
be, I
On
think.
Sunday night, guys, me and Storey are doing the definitive handcuff rankings. We're gonna do a tier list and we have 23 names in there. We're gonna go through and put all these guys in separate tiers and figure out exactly who the premier guys are, and then go from there where their ADP is. And like realistically, you can get 3 of these guys with your last 3 picks. If that's how I like to build my teams, especially if I'm a little light at running back in terms of my starting lineup. I like having 3 of these fuckers because it recently has not worked out, Chaz, because running backs have stayed really, really healthy.
He
But
stayed so healthy last year.
it evens out, right? It evens out. And we might have a bloodbath at our hands this year at running back because odds are, like, we're going to go back to the norm. And the norm is injuries, a lot of injuries
Yep.
at running back, especially.
Also, that the age cliff it fell off a little bit. Like everyone said, oh, 27, 26-year-old running backs, that's when the decline starts happening. And then we have Derrick Henry going until he's 32. You have CMC last year at 29, GT at 27, 28 last year. I know Saquon's going to be 30 this year. Just a lot of older guys that are still producing. So I mean that kind of got put to bed, but I think it's going to be coming back here soon. We had that kind of golden age of running backs, and now we're going to go back to that usual maybe 27, 28-year old instead of 26.
All right, let's get to some news items here. Got some news.
Guys, I've got news. I've got terrible news.
So this is exactly what I wanted a vacation from.
There are 2 guys in this church that are gay.
Who's the other guy?
I don't get the joke.
Yeah, he's never going to understand.
What's wrong with that?
That's me coming on. Guys, there's 2 guys in the podcast. Who's the other guy? Because they all assume it's me, and it might be me. I prefer bi-curious. All right, let's hit them. We got 2 news items here for you. I want to get your opinion on these and how relevant they are. First news item, we have Jonah Coleman. So the Denver Post's Luca Evans believes Jonah Coleman could spell J.K. Dobbins for short yardage touches in the early going, and he's also going to work on passing downs. Like, this is, again, a beat report, but if this is the case, like, this is going to kill both Dobbins and Harvey, and Coleman probably won't have enough juice to be relevant. So it'd be essentially a 3-way committee with 40-40-20, something like that. If I'm going to go off this report, 40% Dobbins in, between the 20s, early downs, Harvey playing third downs and some passing down snaps, and then Jonah Coleman kind of being the X factor. That is absolutely disgusting. I want nothing to do with this backfield if that's going to be the case.
Yep. I don't know how much I would want to exactly, I say this whenever I go on here. I don't know how much I want to put into reports that are like this, saying, oh, this guy's going to get short down yardage, but we're going to take it as is. I just remember when Mouth drafted Harvey in our dynasty, he was like, Harvey's going to be the guy. Harvey's going to be this, and it could be that 3-player committee, which would just kill that backfield. And I'm glad I have nothing to do with that.
And like the Jonah Coleman thing, yes, it's nice to have him if you're drafting him, especially in best ball or deep leagues. It's nice to have him in the rotation. But if there was an injury to either RJ Harvey or J.K. Dobbins, he just slides into the other one's role, which is it's nice that he's versatile, right? He can kind of play both those parts. But then you still have a committee. It's like he is 2 injuries away from being, a top 20 fantasy asset. Like, 1 injury is possible. If you're rooting for 2 injuries, good fucking luck, man. Then they're going to bring somebody else in like Najee Harris. Like, it just seems like a mess. It's probably not going to happen for Jonah Coleman this year. His only contribution to fantasy this year is to bang RJ Harvey and or J.K. Dobbins in the butt. I think that's the only contribution that I think someone's going to have.
A TD stealer is what his role is going to be there this year. Steal all those TDs.
But I believe it because they were playing Tyler Bidet last year. Like, why are you playing? Even in the playoff, like I know that was after Dobbins got hurt. Like even with RJ Harvey, playoffs, you tend to like spread your players a little thinner and just play them more. Tyler Bidet was in the field in the playoffs, and McLaughlin. Like it just, Sean Payton just refuses to play his running backs to a full snap share. Like maybe it's because they don't have the talent. At the end with Alvin Kamara, like what we've seen recently, dude. I don't know. Sean Payton is a clown. Storey would just be really happy hearing this because he hates Sean Payton.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is usually guaranteed that Dobbins will get hurt. But I mean, as you said, if he's not going to resort to just using one or two backs, then there's no point,
Now, Coleman is probably the back to own there in Dynasty based on the cost, right? The cost that it takes to acquire him.
Yeah, there's no cost.
RJ Harvey, I think, is 24, going to be 25 at some point. He's an older second-year player.
Yep.
All right, next news item. You're gonna like this one. George Kittle. He's probably back, dude. So the Athletics' Vic Tourer reports George Kittle's Achilles is ahead of schedule. And we've been hearing this for a while now with George Kittle. I don't want to make this a George Kittle conversation because we're about to have that here in a couple minutes with the tight end conversation, the tight end show. I want to make this about the other guys that we aren't going to be ready, apparently. And it's Malik Neighbors. In particular, Malik Neighbors, who's not going to be back. We don't know when he's coming back. Zach Charbonnet and Malik Neighbors. So I'm going to give you the timelines here. George Kittle, Achilles injury in January 11th. It was January 11th, the Achilles for George Kittle. He's going to be 33 years old in October. So when the season's going on, he's 33 years old. Zach Charbonnet, January 17th. 6 days later, it was an ACL, no MCL, just an ACL. He's 25 years old. So essentially the same week they have their injuries. Zach Charbonnet apparently not coming back to week 9. That's what Storey says. That's what a lot of people are saying. How is George Kittle going to play week 1 at 33 years old after an Achilles, and Zach Charbonnet is going to be literally 2.5 months later? Does this make any sense to you?
It's a bit fishy. Now, is that just because of the hard work George Kittle is putting in, or is it just the fact that Charbonnet is not doing what he should be doing? What kind of mix is that? It's a little fishy to me. Is it more so because Shanahan does want to leak that maybe he might not be full force? Probably. I mean, then again, I remember reports of CMC being on the injury report before the season even started. That didn't affect him all season long. So a lot of the stuff with the 49ers stuff I don't take fully, because they always they kind of lie on about all the injuries that they have, good and bad wise. But obviously I would be ecstatic to see that if I was a Kittle fan.
Malik Neighbors is going to be 23 years old in September. So he's 22 right now. He tore his ACL and MCL. So it was a dual thing. Hold on. I actually have someone chiming in here. Our resident doctor on the show. He has an opinion.
He had a meniscus issue, which totally tanked Derrick Rose's career.
So Neighbors had the meniscus, so that makes it a lot worse, which is actually scientifically a fact. So thank you, Ray. Mid-May, he had a cleanup surgery, which we don't know the extent of that cleanup surgery. 23 years old. September 28th, he tore this fucker. So again, I know there was a setback and all that kind of stuff, but George Kittle so much later, and he's gonna be possibly ready week 1. We have Charbonnet week 9 and Neighbors week 4 is like what the popular consensus is. So I want to get your opinion on when these guys are playing. George Kittle, when does he play? When do you first see George Kittle on an NFL field?
I think he'll actually be back week 1. I hate saying it. I think he's just a super guy. He's a Superman. Neighbors, I'm going to say week 6 or 7, around there. It's late, but every time it gets mentioned, it's later and later. I don't like that at all. And then Charbonnet, I'm gonna go week 10 or 11. I think it's gonna be.
This makes no sense to me. Zach Charbonnet is a young man, no MCL, and I'm sorry, dude. I've done a lot of research on this. Achilles is worse than ACL. Now, when you put ACL and MCL together, I think they're probably comparable, right? In terms of timelines to come back. I think that it takes longer to come back fully when you have the multi-ligament tear, but we're talking about being on the field. And maybe this is a product of the Seahawks being the defending champions, drafting Price, and like being like, we're gonna slow play Charbonnet because I think Zach Charbonnet is the future of this backfield. He's only 25 years old, and then Malik Neighbors being 22 years old. But Harbaugh wants to win now. You know, there's just a lot of things at play here.
I don't get that.
These timelines are wacky. I'll give you mine. So I think George Kittle is week 1. I think it might be week 2. I think they might, since they have the extra time off, right? They play the early game.
Yeah.
Maybe they set him down week 1 and they play him week 2. I'm going to say Zach Charbonnet week 6. I think Malik Neighbors is week 4. I think that they're going to save him from himself a little bit. He's going to want to come back early week 4. What are the chances Malik Neighbors plays week 1? Do you have is there a 0% chance in your mind, or is there some chance? Is there some hope?
I would say it's like 5%. It's like the odds that a tornado is going to hit my house whenever they usually come through Illinois.
Have you seen Twister, though, dude? That shit happens, man.
Not in Illinois. A couple of years ago, there was one probably about 300 yards from my house. It was pretty nuts. But no, I don't put too much into him playing. Every time we talk about it, as I said, it gets later and later, and it gets worse and worse. So I just don't think he'll be playing week 1. And then with Charbonnet, I just think they're going to be fine with Price. And I think they're gonna try and ease him back, which is why they're going to bring him back a little bit later. I know he'll want to be back earlier, but I think it'll be week 10.
Last thought on Neighbors. I know it's weird that I have a George Kittle thing, but it ties into these other guys because of timelines.
Yep.
Are you comfortable? Are you fading him this year? Are you going to touch him in your redrafts? Like, I know it's weird to talk about now because we don't have a lot of information. We will have that hopefully cleared up by the time we're drafting our teams in late August, early September. Is it a stay away? Because drafting injured players is never a good bet. It's not like an 8th round pick. It's going to be a 4th round pick. I mean, maybe it goes to 5th round if he's like officially put on the pup, but you know, the upside's real. Like if he comes back, if he's 80% of himself, like you're getting essentially a high-end wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 1 for free once the season comes. You know, you have to wait those 4 or 5 weeks, but that's a nice little boost during bye weeks. So that's how I think of it.
Yeah, I actually don't mind him. If it's going to be 4 games, he's going to miss 3 or 4 games. I don't mind investing at that round 4, round 5 price just because of where we saw Rashid Rice come back last year. You know, he came back. Obviously, it was more so he was coming off of not really an injury. He was coming off of the suspension, right? And then he came back and it was all good. I think that could be what is going to happen in Neighbors here. And we know Neighbors is already a for sure stud at that wide receiver position. So I don't mind it at all.
All right. Faded says, what about Gaston? We're going to get to that in just a second with our segments. Jonathan, George's was higher up towards the calf, not as bad as a typical Achilles tear. That's why. And we've heard that, you know, it's hard. We're not doctors, except for Big Ray on the channel. None of us are doctors. And that's what I've heard. You know, it's not a bad Achilles tear. It's a good Achilles tear, if that's even possible. It has to be something. And the fact that we think George Kittle is that dude, right? That guy that's he's obviously an elite athlete. They all are, but he has that mindset. I think he hit this rehab hard. Same with Mahomes.
Yep.
John, this is also why are we talking about this without our guy Ray? I mean, our doctor should be on here, but I figured it was a good, you know, Chaz is a very smart guy. He did not major in medicine, which
definitely did not major.
Ray did major in
He
medicine.
had a meniscus issue, which totally tanked Derrick Rose's career.
All right. It's funny every fucking time. I just always interrupt Ray with it now, and it's just great. And he's a good sport about it.
Ray.
All right, let's get into the tight end groups. You ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's do a general landscape discussion first. And I also have a graphic for where the guys were going last year. I have last year's 2025 ranks, so it's going to be interesting to look back. And let's I want to try to play a game and identify, you know, who's this year's Tucker Kraft, if there is one, guys that were going around the same range and what we project this year could be that same player. But general landscape, I have the top 15 pulled up for you, Chaz. Are you an early tight end guy? Let's talk full PPR. This is full PPR ranks. Are you an early tight end guy? Are you a later great guy, which I think is really been adopted recently because that tight end dead zone has not hit for years and years and years and years. This is probably usually tight end 5 through tight end 9. That range is tight end dead zone. So what is your general strategy year to year on tight ends?
Yeah, I actually don't mind it. I mean, our doctor should be on here, but I figured it was a good idea to Well, this year it's different than what I normally do, and I know you were just talking about how the dead zone usually gives no hits at all. I think this is the year to go in that dead zone. I love where I think Tucker Kraft should be. Honestly, he should be in that top tier just behind Warren. I think he proved that last year. You maybe could slide Pitts in there. I don't mind Harold Fannin either. I don't mind any of those 5 through 9 guys. Or maybe if you want to bring it 5 through 10 and get George Kittle in there if you think he's going to be for sure back at week 1.
So usually, and we're going to talk about these tiers in a second, Loveland and Warren being the same tier as Bowers and McBride is just stupid. Like, that's just straight up. In full PPR, extremely stupid. These top 2 guys are 100-catch players, and touchdowns are really random for tight ends. But usually the first tier, I'll identify one guy. Last year was Trey McBride for me. I should have had more, but I was just waiting on Tucker Kraft in every league. But McBride was falling to me like in the third pick of the third round, fourth pick of the third round, pick 27 a lot last year in full PPR. And I was getting either him or JSN with that pick every time. And I was totally cool with that, but I wasn't reaching on McBride at the 2-3 turn. So this year it's actually Bowers for me. And I don't know how they have McBride ahead of Bowers. It's just not the way underdogs being drafted. But
yeah, I don't like that.
Bowers is costly, man, but that's the guy for me. I will draft McBride if he continues to slide. Loveland and Warren, I'm going to be off. So typically, I'd land on one guy in the early, the top 4 that I will take at value in terms of like right at their ADP or a pick or 2 after, and then I just wait and I wait and I wait unless I identify a guy like Tucker Kraft last year who was tight end 13 last year. I was taking him tight end 10 to make sure I had him at least the first half of my drafts. Then I realized I had like 60% Tucker Kraft, so then I was waiting for ADP. It worked until he got hurt.
Yeah,
but you can just wait if you wait past the top 12. Like we'll see this year, and then same with last year. The difference, at least on the surface, between tight end 12 and tight end 20, it's a very, very like flat position in terms of they're all touchdown dependent guys. A lot of them either they're snap eaters and they don't do a lot with their snaps besides score the random touchdowns, or they're guys like Dalton Kincaid who don't play a lot of snaps but are super efficient with what they get. So it's inconsistent either way. So I think that's how I look at it. I love, if I'm going to wait, you have to really wait at tight end because at that point you're essentially saying I'm streaming the position and I don't want to put an 8th or 9th round pick into a potential stream when I could maybe get a 10% worse player, like in theory, but I can wait 5 rounds to get him. I can get him in the 12th or 13th round. And then you double up and you take 2 of these guys, in the 13 to 18 range. Because most teams should not be taking a backup tight end until the last pick, if at all. I don't take backup tight ends unless I'm essentially saying I'm streaming the position. So that's been my general plan. We'll see how it changes this year. I want to go to last year's list here. And here's the top 14 guys last year. We had Brock Bowers going off almost near the first round. Trey McBride, like I said, was a 3rd round pick, early 3rd round. George Kittle, then Travis Kelce, Hawkinson, my boy TJ Hawkinson, guys. I think we all forget. That's why I love him this year especially. Also, he has the biggest cap hit of any tight end this year, which is wild. But he was going off the board tight end 5 last year. Sam Laporte at 6. Evan Ingram, Mr. Evan Ingram, who was getting drafted outside the tight end 30s, was tight end 7. David Njoku, number 8. Tyler Warren, number 9. I think towards the end of the year, Tyler Warren was going ahead of Ingram and Njoku because he got a lot of buzz. Mark Andrews, tight end 10. Kincaid, 11. Colson Loveland, your guy, number 12. Tucker Kraft, who is my love affair at 13, and then Dallas Goedert, 14. So there is a lot of misses. It was a bad year for tight ends last year. Like look at the middle part. Like Kelce ended up returning value because he had a great start to the year, but he compiled. But it was like he finished ahead of where he was drafted, but it was not a great points per game season. George Kittle got hurt early part of the year, did not really have a great year. Hawkinson was an all-time bust based on the offense dying and him dying. Tim Laporta had a back injury. Ingram was missing in action. David Njoku got phased out. Tyler Warren was awesome and then terrible down the stretch. Mark Andrews had such a bad start to the season where he was essentially dropped in fantasy leagues.
He was.
Cade was good, but inconsistent. And then Colson Loveland was a back-end guy. Wasn't great early in the year. And obviously Tucker Kraft was the greatest tight end in the history of the world last year before he got hurt. Dallas Goedert scored 13 touchdowns. So, that was the landscape last year. And if you look at the tight end dead zone, let's start it with TJ Hawkinson to Mark Andrews. I see one hit in there, and that's Tyler Warren. So one of 5 guys, one of 6 guys hit. The other 5 busted for various reasons. So that's what we're talking about with the dead zone. And it was rough last year, man. Who do you see? Who do you see that we missed on that? It was Tucker Kraft, obviously, but Dalton Kincaid at tight end 11 last year. We look this year. He's going later. He's going to tight end 12, and the knee issue seems to be good. Are you in on Dalton Kincaid?
You know, I'm always going to be on or in on a player that has Josh Allen linked to him. I think that's the thing, because especially when you have another addition in DJ Moore, you have Josh Allen. Like, the primary focus is never going to be, hey, let's stop Dalton Kincaid. You know, like that's never been the main focus. It's been, okay, let's go stop James Cook. Let's go stop Josh Allen. So honestly, he might be getting technically phased out, but I don't think so. I think it's just, I mean, not phased out, but just a little bit lower in the pecking order. But I think that's going to help him out just a little bit. And having a receiver there in DJ Moore, because hopefully that can even help free him up even more. So, I mean, I would say I'm in a little bit at price.
He talks himself into Dalton Kincaid. Not a good idea. All right, so we're going to hit you guys with the intro real quick. Give us 30 seconds, and then we're going to get back and talk all of this landscape, all of these tight ends. Really excited for this one. All right, here we go. Let's talk about the first tier here. And obviously, you have Bowers over McBride, like most?
Yeah, I would.
How much higher, though? Like, so we have Bowers going, let's say it's pick 17, pick 18. McBride pick 23, so a 6-pick gap. Is that fair? Do you like Trey McBride at – essentially, Trey McBride's going to be going, once draft season rolls around in redraft, the same spot he was going last year, which is a 3rd or 4th pick of the 3rd round. And you're going to have Brock Bowers going kind of right around where he was going last year as well. So what are your thoughts on McBride first and foremost?
I just think that he's not going to be able to replicate what he had last year. I mean, I understand he had that like amazing stretch where he was dropping, or at least in my tight end premium league, felt like it was 30 plus, every single game. So, you know, is Marv going to have a finally a bigger role? I know Michael Wilson also played himself into a bigger role last year. Now you have Jeremiah Love. There's just a lot more factors now going into this year. I think that's going to get bumped down a little bit. And just with Brock Bowers, you're just going to have Kirk Cousins or, you know, Mendoza. And I think both those guys, their best friend is that tight end that is all pro. You know, like that's the safety valve. That is who the check down is. So I would definitely take Bowers over McBride, as said already, but I think you could even take Bowers middle of the second round, in my opinion.
The numbers are definitely going to go down because it was the best seasons of all time. 169 targets for Trey McBride, and if you actually break it up into 2 seasons, the season with Kyler and the Brissett stuff, like he was averaging, I want to say like 6 or 7 targets with Kyler. So that means he was averaging 9 or 10 targets a game. Like more than that, like 11 or 12 targets a game with Brissett, which is not sustainable. 126 catches, 1,240 yards, and 11 touchdowns. And this is a guy, first 3 years of NFL career, he did have a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Let's not count that. 6 touchdowns, 6 receiving touchdowns in the first 3 years. Also, I think at Colorado State was a guy that was averaging like 2 touchdowns a year in college, which makes no sense because he's such a monster. So we need to also take this into factor. We had this with Andre Johnson way back in the day where he was having 2 or 3 touchdowns a year to start his career and having like 1,100 yards. People were like, Andre Johnson doesn't score touchdowns. Like, people said the same thing about Trey McBride last year. And I was like, well, he should have. He actually, 2024, he had the second most opportunities for touchdowns of tight ends. And I was like, Kyler was awful. It just didn't mesh. It didn't work. And like, look at 11 touchdowns. So the 11 touchdowns is probably not going to be sustainable. The target share is 170 targets. Get the hell out of town with Marvin there. And then Michael Wilson has earned the right to be a big part of this offense. And now you have Jeremiah Love opposed to, you know, part of James Conner. And then you had Trey Benson for a game. And then it was Mercado, Michael Carter. What is the target number do you anticipate for Trey McBride this year? Because I have a number in my head I think is pretty fair. It's still pretty high, but it's not 170.
I was thinking 135, somewhere around there. I don't know if that's kind of what you were thinking, maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower.
I was thinking 140, and then as I had that a number in my head, I was like, that's really fucking high. Like, it doesn't seem that high because it's 30 less targets than last year.
Yep.
But man, that was such a perfect storm of just Blake Bortles shit, where it's just like, well, we're down by 21 points in the third quarter, and we somehow keeping these drives alive. And like all of the value, not all, but most of the value was like garbage time. They were in garbage time in the second quarter. Like I've never seen anything like it. Like second quarter, they're down by 17 points, and then Brissett has 49 passing attempts. One game he had like 60 plus. I mean, that's just not going to happen. They're going to play differently in offense because that is not sustainable. It's also not how you want to play NFL football. So let's say 130. Like, can we say 130?
Yeah.
Which,
I like that.
169 catches or 169 targets, 126 last year. If you give him 130 targets, it's like 98 catches. If you were to keep the same ratio, maybe it'd be more efficient with his targets. But 100 catch player, and then you're going to drop down 126 to 100 catches. So now you're looking at 10 yards a catch. So he's going to be at 100 catches, 1,000 yards. We'll call it 8 touchdowns. That's fair for where you're drafting him in the early third round.
Yeah, I mean, we just know regression is going to come. It's just how much, and I think that the drafts, or at least his ADP is already shown for that. So that's definitely why he should be behind Bowers. I just don't know why this thing has him in front.
Will you take him at that pick in full PPR? Would you take him at pick 27? Like, not every time, but like, is it a strong consideration for you, or do you want him to fall to 30?
I would probably want him to fall a little bit. I just feel like there might be a little bit more regression than what people think. Like there's other players I'd much rather have there. Like Devontae Smith or someone like that in that range.
Rashee Rice? What about Rashee Rice?
Rice?
That's a weird one because McBride is a very safe player. I mean, it's just he doesn't get hurt. You're getting the edge at tight end by taking him, even though he's going to regress for sure. But Rashee Rice could play 5 games this year. I mean, that's kind of what he does. But you're potentially getting a 100 plus catch player with Patrick Mahomes who's going to score. The thing is, the numbers we're hoping for Rashee Rice essentially is the numbers Trey McBride's going to give you. Like we know that. So why would we take Rashee Rice over Trey McBride? I just thought of this. It's like we hope that Rashee Rice turns into Trey McBride, but he plays wide receiver and McBride plays tight end. So why wouldn't you just take McBride? I think I'm taking McBride over him in full PPR in a redraft.
I can see that if you're more so worried about the knee and all that other stuff. I'm not.
Dude, all of that other stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of shit with Rashee Rice we have to worry about. Like, what do we worry about with Trey McBride? Marvin Harrison becoming an alpha dog.
Regression. Well, I think a lot of regression.
But he can regress 30%. We just went over this. He can regress 30% and still actually pay off at his value.
I guess. I mean, we might just have to agree to disagree on that. But I just think the wide receivers have a much higher ceiling compared to where. And I know last year McBride showed that ceiling, but I just think there's zero chance that happens again.
All right, Brock Bowers. So same kind of argument. I think Brock Bowers, the year that Trey McBride just had last year, I'm not saying it's likely, but Brock Bowers is a better player than Trey McBride. And Brock Bowers has literally no competition outside of Ashton Genty, who's a running back. Like, it is so bad there at the wide receiver room. And if it wasn't Kubiak there, I'd be concerned because it's like you could just take Bowers out of the game. You could just double him on every play, shadow him on every play. But Kubiak showed last year with JSN that he is a dynamic coordinator and a guy that can, dial up these plays for his number one if they're a versatile enough player. JSN showed that last year. I think we all think Brock Bowers at tight end especially is, obviously not as versatile as JSN because JSN is just a fucking speed demon and a tactician. But at tight end, Brock Bowers is that. And he's a mismatch no matter who he goes against. He's gonna bully corners. He's gonna destroy zone. He's also gonna just run past even the fastest linebacker in the league. So that's why I'm not as worried about the like you want some other guys to take the top off the defense and kind of like make the defense stay honest. But if Brock Bowers is going to be lining up as a flanker, he's going to be lining up some snaps in the backfield. Like, this is what fantasy dreams are made of. And the targets, like, what is the upside of Brock Bowers' targets this year? Like, we just said Trey McBride 169 last year. I think he can beat this.
I don't know if he could beat 169, but I think he could definitely beat what he had his rookie year, which was 153. I mean, that's definitely doable this year, in my opinion, and yeah, I don't know if he'll have the same season as what McBride had last year because that's just totally an outlier. But Browers seems to be that kind of outlier type player, so I wouldn't be surprised if he does eclipse us 170 more, considering the receiver type options they have there.
Agreed, like beating that season because of the 11 touchdowns. But the counter to that, though, is Brock Bowers last year was limping all over the field. He missed 4 games. He was only healthy for literally half a game. He had 7 touchdowns last year, which is wild because his rookie year, didn't he have like 3? Like, makes no sense. But
4.
Yeah, I love Brock Bowers this year, man.
5.
I hate taking early tight ends. I hate it. Fucking hate it. But this is a spot that in full PPR, again, same thing. It's like Drake London and A.J. Brown go right in the same range. I do like their upsides more, especially Drake London's in PPR. But the tight end advantage, man, when we talk about what we saw last year with all these guys busting, like, I doubt he gets hurt 2 years in a row. That's, he's not a guy that's injury prone from college. Like, the safety of Brock Bowers and both these guys is elite, man. And then after that, I know you're a Loveland guy. I'm kind of a Warren guy. Do these two deserve to be in this tier? Because I think it's not even close. Drop them down to tier 2, or they're in a tier of their own, right?
Yeah, I think that the first 5 guys, it should be Bowers, McBride, then a tier off, and then you have Loveland, Warren, and Kraft, however you want to put it, and then you have that other tier below that.
That's fair. You like Loveland over Warren by a decent amount because on Underdog right now we have Colson Loveland going pick 46, Tyler Warren going pick 64. So 18 pick gap there. I'm drafting Warren more just based on the cost and like what I'm passing on at 64 is not as much as what I'm passing on Colson Loveland pick 46. Like you're passing on David Montgomery, you're passing on Terry McLaurin sometimes. Like I'm not doing that for Colson Loveland. Where Tyler Warren, you're not passing on as big of names. You're passing on guys like Christian Watson and DJ Moore. And I think they have similar floors. I think the upside's with Colson Loveland because if we're going to identify a breakout tight end that can score 12 touchdowns this year, I could argue that Colson Loveland has the highest touchdown upside of any tight end in the NFL because we saw it last year at the end of the year. Caleb should take a step up, at least in terms of passing efficiency. And, if you don't believe in Luther Burden, Roma Dunze has that weird foot issue going on, also has not been that great in the NFL. It's a good spot right now for Colson Loveland to lead the team in touchdowns and possibly lead the whole tight end position in touchdowns. 10, 12 touchdowns, right, is on the table?
Yeah, I mean, actually a lot of people that I've seen – when they talk about the Bears receiving room, they aren't even talking about how Luther or Rome are fighting for wide receiver 1. They're pretty much giving that to Colson Loveland and just saying, hey, who's going to be the first sure 2 there, which I don't mind at all. I think Colson showed last year he can pretty much do it all at the tight end position, and he could definitely be that guy where he can go out and maybe get us 15 touchdowns this year. Like that would be the absolute ceiling, but it is possible, I think, in the range of outcomes.
I mean, he definitely has, if you just go through the quarterback situations, like Mendoza and Kirk Cousins, and then Brissett and Carson Beck versus Caleb Williams. So the touchdown upside for any tight end is Colson Loveland. I mean, 15 might be a bit aggressive, but I could see it happening. He could get half of the touchdowns from Caleb if he throws for 30. Right now, currently, Colson Loveland is like 749 on Vegas for his over-under yards. Luther Burden and Roma Dunze are both at 750 as well. So Vegas is telling you, like, we don't know who the number 1 is, but that's a pro Loveland stat because he plays tight end. They never put tight ends that high, right? Like the best receiver they will put at like 1,350 or 1,400, Puka and, JSN, those guys, Justin Jefferson in years past. Like currently Brock Bowers, 875 is what his line is, which, by the way, guys, if you want to X out of this program real quick and go place that bet, I already put a pretty penny on that, 875 for Bowers. Easy money. Easy fucking money, my dudes.
You're talking me into it right now. You're talking me into it right now.
Place that bet. He can do that in 12 games, man. So we agree. Loveland and Warner in a tier of their own. Who do you like at value, though? Do you like Loveland 16? Or now it's 16 picks of difference, 16 picks of ADP. Do you want to reach on Loveland, or are you going to take the slide for Warren in the floor play?
I wouldn't say reaching on Loveland, but I don't mind taking Loveland at ADP over Warren. But if you have to take Loveland a bit, if you have to reach on him in order to get to him, I'd much rather have the Warren at cost. Comparing those two together, just because Warren was still amazing last year in terms of, everyone thought the Bears probably should have taken him, and then we took Loveland, and then it was like, oh, Warren's having that great start, and then Loveland obviously finished it up extremely well. Extremely well. So I don't mind having either of those guys at cost, but at cost I'll go Loveland. If you have to reach, then I would much rather go Warren.
Good call, smart man.
Check out the big brain on Brad. You're a smart motherfucker. That's right.
I am much more likely to take Loveland in half PPR because I think the touchdown upside's there. In full PPR, like I think Warren has more catches than Loveland this year. It's not going to be like a landslide, but just it's close. Well, let's move to tier 2 here, which we have as our tier 3 because we had Loveland and Warren in tier 2. Tier 2 for Fantasy Pros. This is Fantasy Pros ECR. Harold Fannin, we call him Harry Fanny around here. Tucker Kraft at 6, Kyle Pitts at 7, and Sam Laporta at 8. This is full PPR ranks right here. Do you like this tier? Because we were saying tight end this is a tight end dead zone traditionally. I love this tier this year, though. I know we say it every year, though. We're like, dude, this tier's awesome. These guys are all going to crush, and it never happens. Is this the year that these guys actually produce and outkick their ADP?
I mean, I was already saying earlier, this is the year where I'm trying to draft guys here. I love where Tucker's at. I would love to go him again. I don't know why he's at 6. I think, as I was saying, he should be
injury.
5th in
coming
that.
Off the injury, man.
That's I know
why.
He's coming off the injury, but just I feel like he should be in that Loveland and Warren tier. And then it should be Fan. I also love Fan. I think Fan's going to be he's going to get a bunch of targets, a bunch of receptions. Same with Pitts, but I think Pitts is going to have those more, not as many receptions, but probably more yards. And then Kelsey, too, does he have another year of, dominance and then just kill? I think that's the whole tier, in my opinion.
Wow, you have Kelsey up in that same tier. I can't do it. I can't do it. Dude, Kelsey looks so bad last year. I am really warming to Harold Fannin, and I have not been taking him too much in underdog because I take Kyle Pitts ahead of him, and I know it's weird because Kyle Pitts doesn't have the most touchdown upside, but I like that offense a little better, and Harold Fannin was so good. I like Harold Fannin more in PPR. 71 receptions last year as a rookie, and that was with 9 games of pretty much sharing the room with David Njoku. They were both in the field plenty, but that quarterback play, it's probably still going to be bad this year, but it cannot be as bad as what we saw last year. We got 7 games of Dylan Gabriel last year? And that was actually great for Fannin because it was he can't throw the ball past 5 yards downfield. So it was, Fannin was getting a lot of 6 for 26. Literally had games with 6 catches for 26 yards. And it was great in full PPR because it was 8.6. If you caught a touchdown, it was 14.6. But that was bad because Harold Fannon's pretty good with the ball in his hands. I mean, he's not Tucker Kraft or anything. But I am in full PPR. I am fine with Harold Fannin. Obviously, my love of Kraft. I got to see his health coming up. Kyle Pitts. Do you buy into the end of the year last year with Kirk Cousins? And he was playing better, all year. And let's not forget, last year Kyle Pitts was getting drafted tight end 18. Tight end 18. And it was a lot of late season stuff when they had nobody else there, and Kirk Cousins, again, who can't throw the ball downfield. You're probably going to get Tua to start the year, which is good for Kyle Pitts. That is closer to Kirk Cousins and Penix. And I think Penix and Kyle Pitts, there is some upside there because he should love Kyle Pitts because Penix overthrows every receiver by 6 feet. But Kyle Pitts is legitimately 6'6" with a giant wingspan. So, it's hard to overthrow Kyle Pitts. That's why he loves Drake London. But should be Penix's kind of player. It's just the on-time stuff never works out with Penix and Pitts. Or it hasn't yet to date. But you rank these guys. You have Kraft first. Is it Kraft, Pitts, Fannin, Laporta? Yeah, that would be my rankings here, just because of just a little bit of a downswing that what Laporta had last year. As I was saying, I'm going to keep on fighting for Kelsey to somehow be in this tier. I know you're not seeing it. I think there was just a kind of sour taste in the mouth with how he finished. I just think a guy that's going to be out there, 90+% of the snaps. And Mahomes should be back fully this year again. I know the end of the year was kind of rough and it looked bad. But when you look at the numbers, I'll trust him. I will always trust that Kelsey-Mahomes combo. So I'll go Kraft, Pitts, Fannin, Laporta, and then Kelsey in this year. You have not mentioned Laporta at all. I'm really high on Laporta. Again, underdog is half PPR, so that's why I really love Laporta because of all these players, even Tucker Kraft, I would say Laporta has the highest touchdown upside. And I can almost throw in that Loveland Warren tier for touchdown upside. Like 10 touchdowns is very feasible for Sam Laporta because we know one thing. Jared Goff's throwing 34 touchdowns this year. He does it every single year. It's going to happen again. 10 or 12 are going to go to St. Brown. 5 or 6 are going to go to Jamison Williams. That's 18. You still have 17 touchdowns to go around. And Sam Laporta is a giant cog, especially in the red zone. They do dial up some really aggressive plays for him. And Drew Petzing's there now. So, like, he has a tight end whisper. Well, I'm not going to call him a tight end whisperer, but that's the only thing that I do trust in Drew Petzing is that he can actually feature the tight end because he can't feature anything else.
Definitely can't do that.
Laporta's also coming off a back injury too. So it's not as bad as, the Kraft thing. I'm much more worried about Kraft's, health coming back to form than Laporta. But in full PBR, I understand that like the hesitancy because Sam Laporta is pretty much capped at about 65 catches. I know his rookie year he had more, but they had nothing else there.
Yeah, I mean he's capped catch-wise. Is just the fact that he's going to get those valuable targets, and it doesn't feel like people might be kind of forgetting about him just because of the fact that he was injured for that second half of the year, and it was like, the games before he got injured, he was playing pretty well. Could people just be forgetting about him? Maybe. Could that be a value spot? Like I said earlier, I'm loving every tight end from that 5 to 10 range. I'm looking to take those guys.
I think I am not on Kelsey as much as you are. And Kittle, we have to see what the reports are, but I understand the appeal there. Is it one of those situations, how we talked about in the quarterback show with the third tier, second tier of tight ends, of quarterbacks, where it was like Jaden Daniels and Caleb and Jalen Hurts, Drake May. We just want to take the last guy. And I think in this case, like these guys are going to go off in all different order. I think there's going to be a faction of people that love Kraft. You're also going to have a group, maybe a league that is scared off by Kraft's injury. Maybe he goes 5th. Another week he goes 8th. A lot of people are going to be obsessed with Kyle Pitts' finish last year and be like, well, Kyle Pitts should be the 5th tight end taken. We're going to have people that love Harold Fannin as being 22 years old. And, oh, wow, who else is there in Cleveland? You have another faction saying Harold Fannin plays for the Browns and they suck. So, like, and then Sam Laporta is kind of the boring option here. So I think these guys are going to go, if you do 10 drafts, like the combination of where these guys go, I think I can make an argument for all of these guys to go 5 or all these guys to go 8. And, maybe someone's a Niners fan or they love George Kittle, they from the past, and they take Kittle ahead of Laporta or ahead of Kyle Pitts. So it's almost like let the tight end room come to you this year, because if we like all these guys add value, there's a chance if you just play the ADP game and you just let value fall, you can get shares of all these guys 5, 7, 8 picks after ADP, and that's the smart way to play it. Because what I don't want to do is if you're a Kraft, let's say you're a Kraft guy this year, I'm a Fannin guy this year. I don't want to reach on whoever the guy we love 4 picks ahead of ADP, and then you feel like an idiot when it comes back around to you and Tucker Kraft's still available and I pick Fannin and vice versa, and you started the run, but the run didn't actually start. That's when you get yourself in trouble because your value just went away. So it's almost like let someone take the first of this tier, and then just let it come to you, and then if around later. 12 picks later, one of these guys should be on the board. It's doubtful that all 4 will go in succession. So I think that's a nice strategy if you're in on all these guys. Now, if you're fading one of the guys, you can still do that strategy. And if it is Kyle Pitts you hate and he falls, just pass on him and take Kittle, take Ferguson, take Kincaid, punt the position, whatever. We never want to force tight end because it is a barren wasteland. It is a barren wasteland.
Yeah, it's very easy to get caught in that dead zone is what we saw last year with you just draft the tight end high and then that ends up being absolutely terrible. So hopefully that's not what goes on this year in that dead zone. I think that's what we're not predicting it's going to happen. I think we love pretty much all those guys there. But yeah, no, you just let it fall to you and don't be, unless you have like a for sure you're a guy, but still even don't be reaching on them.
Don't take that crazy leap and make a bad decision, I guess is what Chaz is saying.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
You must be Mr. Lefebvre?
Yeah, that's me.
Surprise! I'm all yours. I was told it'd just be one, but I can take both of you. Might get a little sore, but I'll manage.
Okay, well,
Okay.
I'm out of here.
Wait, what?
Hey, where you going? Lefebvre's into banging little Asian boys, so we're done, right?
Look, if we're gonna do this thing, we need to see things through.
Dennis, are you gonna have sex with a tiny Asian boy?
I'm gonna see how far I can go. Are you with me?
No, I'm going to leave now.
Let's kick things up a notch.
So only the ones to the clubs?
Yeah, you're a caddy. Clubs. This is a golf. Good.
All right, let's get some comments here before we get to the third tier. Derek says, why is Hunter Henry so undervalued? It's not because of Raritan being drafted, because he is a 5th-round tight end. That's kind of a project. It's probably because A.J. Brown's there, Romeo Doubs is there. The target share is not going to be great. What is going to be great is the touchdown percentage. I think Hunter Henry is a safe bet for 5 or 6 touchdowns every year.
Yeah, I mean, just what happened last year, where it was, I mean, obviously it wasn't a main target, but you felt like he was getting those huge explosive plays sometimes for those. I just remember him having a couple of long touchdowns. I'm like, holy crap. That might get kind of phased out this year, but he might be more reliable of getting those actual just shorter touchdowns, kind of like a Mark Andrews type of guy. It's just tough when you have 2 Romeo Doubs, who's really good in the red zone, and A.J. Brown, who's also a ball hawk and is just an amazing alpha wide receiver. But he should still be slated for 4 or 5 touchdowns this year.
I think he's undervalued because Hunter Henry is the definition of a boring pick. Like, it's like if you have like boring fantasy pick in the dictionary, like there's literally a picture of Hunter Henry, and he's shirtless, but he's not that muscular. It's like, you know what? He's probably gives good back rubs. He'll probably take me out to a nice dinner, but you know what? He doesn't last very long, and like that's just not my style. So there's other upside options. Rondé Gadsden, people love Chickaconquo this year. Like in that range, people are just gonna always gravitate towards upside. Where like sometimes it's a losing game. If I'm streaming tight end though, I'm the same way. I want upside. I don't want to take the guy at tight end 16 that finishes at tight end 13. What's the point of that? Like, give me some guy that could finish. Give me the Harold Fanning, give me Kyle Pitts from last year that has that inherent upside. That is why Hunter Henry's undervalued. But we agree he is undervalued because he'll probably finish right around the tight end ones.
Oh yeah, he'll definitely. I mean, he's probably going 16th or 17th on the board. He's going to probably finish higher than that. It's just you just know his ceiling is capped, like heavily capped. But his floor is also extremely high. Like he doesn't have a huge variance of where he can't finish because you just know what he's going to give you.
Now in best ball, I don't take a lot of Henry because I don't take a lot of Drake May, but Hunter Henry is a great pick in best ball because he will beat his ADP, and that's the goal. Yep. Take enough guys to beat their ADP in best ball, and you win some money. David says, "Do you think Laporta will finish top 5?" Chaz, I think, is a no on that one, right?
I would say no, but it is in the realm of possibilities. Is what I'd say.
I will say he finishes number 5 or number 4 in half PPR. Because touchdowns are weighted so much more heavily there. In full PPR, he's still probably going to beat his ADP, but he's like the better version of Hunter Henry for a higher cost in full PPR because like I feel like we're getting 3 or 4 catches a game, but you're going to get 6 to 8 touchdowns, which is super nice at tight ends. Vegeta says not a fan of who's throwing to Brock Bowers. He has 2 different quarterbacks to work with this season. You have to hope both work out. Well, I understand what you're saying. Like having that consistency is nice, and the camaraderie with your quarterback. I understand all that, but look at the 2 quarterbacks he does have. That's why I'm in, because Kirk Cousins cannot throw the ball downfield. Okay, he doesn't have he doesn't want to sit in the pocket and get a hit because he can't move. He's going to be one of the quickest release quarterbacks in the NFL. It's like what we saw with Tua. Remember when Jonnu Smith had that giant year? That's because Tua was literally like he was counting. He's like 1,000. I got to throw it. He couldn't get to 2,000 because he was scared. That's kind of how Kirk Cousins is going to operate this year. And we all assume that Mendoza will be playing at some point. He better play at some point. Mendoza's a rookie quarterback that has a lot more juice than Kirk Cousins. Didn't feature the tight end in Indiana because they didn't really have a great one. And also, there's not how the scheme worked there.
Yeah, that was not the scheme there.
But who did he love? He loved Surratt, and he loved Omar Cooper in the slot. Like Brock Bowers, dude, he's not really a tight end. I mean, he's just not. He's not David Njoku out there. This guy is a weapon, and Kubiak's going to use him as such. So I think rookie quarterbacks always favor their tight end, and also they favor their best weapon. Brock Bowers, fortunately, is both of those things. He is the best weapon on the team. He's also the only tight end on the team. I mean, Michael Mayer is awesome, but like he is the starting tight end. He is the best weapon on the team. I'm not worried about the quarterback situation at all. I am a little worried about what the offensive upside is, but we just saw Brock Bowers on his rookie year was one of the worst situations ever. Gardner Minshew was his quarterback. Aiden O'Connell. Who was the third guy? We got a third guy in there too.
That was their coach.
Yeah, Pierce, the linebacker. That was their coach. That was almost as bad as Pete Carroll. late stage Pete Carroll. And then they also had, who the hell was the guy that they got from the Falcons? Desmond Ritter. Didn't Desmond Ritter play?
Oh,
Dude, Desmond Ritter started a game in Brock Bowers' rookie year. Like, that was the quarterback room that Brock Bowers had. And that team was so bad. Like, they were actually somehow better than the Raiders were last year, but still, like, one of the worst teams in the league. So, not worried about Brock Bowers' quarterback situation at all. My worry is touchdown upside, I suppose. But, like, we just talked about it. Brock Bowers played 12 games last year, was hurt for 11 and a half of them, and he had 7 touchdowns. So, like, I feel like 7 touchdowns is his floor with the PPR value you're going to get. If you tell me Brock Bowers has 7 touchdowns, I'm telling you I'm taking him at pick 15.
Yeah, I mean, and also what kind of people maybe forget. I mean, I know with the rookie quarterback, could that internal clock be sped up a little bit? You know, going into the NFL, is that what it's kind of going to happen? And who's he going to be going down? It's going to be the check down or just the dump off to Brock Bowers, who can make moves. And I love seeing this mouth super.
Chaz knows what every player gives because he has all the injury updates from Dr. Ray working on his dynasty staff. He takes care of Chaz's boys. Your team is going to be the healthiest dynasty team of all time because Ray is going to know when to bench guys, when to start guys, when to give them a week off. Dr. Ray knows.
He had a meniscus issue, which totally tanked Derrick Rose's career.
Thank you, Mouth. Those of you new in here, you're like, who's Mouth? Who's Mouth? Well, Mouth is the creator, the co-host, the man of Downtown Sports, guys. Head over to YouTube right now or any other platform you find podcasts, 23 other platforms, and search Downtown Sports. Give them a like, give them a sub, give them a listen. Where sports come home. That is Mouth and Beast. They're talking World Cup. They're talking NBA. They're talking NFL. They're talking everything and anything sports related. Twice a week only. It's not as much as this show. Give them a listen if you could. Let's get back to the comments there, Mr. Chaz. Thank you, Mouth. Bowers will likely end at the first round value at the tight end position. I don't think his ADP will go up any higher, right? Because he's not going to go ahead of the running back group of Chase Brown and A-Chain and Derrick. Maybe ahead of Derrick Henry in PPR, but Saquon, like that whole group is going to go ahead of him. I do believe Drake London and A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's getting steamed up like crazy. They will both go ahead of him. So I think pick 17, pick 18 is where Brock Bowers will go in most drafts. You're always going to have that one guy that's like, fuck it. Like last year I saw a couple of my leagues, Brock Bowers went in the first round. He went pick 12. Like that could happen. But there's also rooms where people don't like taking early tight ends, and he falls to pick 19, 20, 21. I'm going to live in that world. If I can get him after the top 18 players, I think there's a nice little cliff there in terms of running backs and receivers at the top 18. Give me the Brock Bowers after that because that's a safe commodity. Hey, Chaz, you're getting up close and personal there.
Sorry.
Derek says Kraft is a tier below Loveland and Warren. Don't speak ill of my boy Tucker Kraft, Derek.
I just don't think so. I can see because of the injury, but I'm just pretty high on Kraft this year.
Vegeta, every wide receiver in the Bears had a 22% target share last year and led them 1,000 yards since 2023. Ball gets spread out, never knowing who's going to pop off week to week. That was last year though, when you have DJ Moore in the fold. Now you don't have DJ Moore in the fold. Like that's one guy. I know DJ Moore was not really earning a lot of targets, but he was earning enough. You replace that with Khalif Raymond. Not worried about Khalif Raymond earning targets. And, what's the other? The other plan is probably more 12 personnel with Cole Kmet. When you have 12 personnel, the receiving tight end has a higher percentage of looks, and then whatever receivers are on the field. Like the inline tight end gets 12% target share, 10% target share. Cole Kmet's better than your average inline tight end. He's not Charlie Kohler out there, but like I feel like it's going to be very balanced, but I think 23 to 24% for all three of these guys, and then 40%, 35 for the rest. Is that fair?
I think so, actually.
What he meant, that's what you meant. He meant that every receiver had less than 1,000 yards. And it might be the same this year. It might be 900 for Loveland, 800 for Burden, and 700 for our boy Roma Dunze. But let's also factor in the chance that we're going to have an elite Caleb Williams season, which, if you want to laugh at that, you can. Like, Caleb Williams last year was 60% completion percentage, like, laughable, awful. He was still good, but that's going to jump. What do you think Caleb's 64% is fair this year? That's not even that good, but be good for him.
Yeah, I mean, if he just jumps, even if he gets it to 63%, I think you could see potentially, 4,400 yards, some more touchdowns. It just grows, and it's setting up for like what happens if he has potentially a 66 to 67% percentage year. Like that can be setting up for big numbers, and,
Because
and
we
I think
know the
people are
big
just,
plays will still be there, right? They
oh
will still
yeah,
be there. Caleb Williams is a product of playing superhero. He will do it. He has the arm. He has the athleticism.
he has
He's
the
going to
arm.
extend plays. Can he succeed on those awesome plays that Ben Johnson draws up to get a guy on a crosser, right? To get Colson Loveland up the seam wide open. That's the question. And those are the easier throws. He just needs to clean some shit up.
Or I'm also thinking of the kind of quirky plays. Do you remember that Dallas play with the Luther Burton, that kind of little toss back?
Yeah, it's flea flicker.
Hey, Luther, yeah, flea flicker, get Luther down there for 60 yards. Like, Ben Johnson's so creative. He's going to draw some more things up. He's going to be different year in and year out, and that's just what I love about Caleb and Ben Johnson going forward.
Guys, we are one sub away from 2,950. We want 3,000 in the next couple weeks. Let's get 2,950 first. Moreau, dynasty question, if that's all right. Of course it's all right, Moreau. Me and Moreau are building the ultimate dynasty team. He's a Patreon. What's going on, man? It's awesome. I had it up here a couple weeks ago. I'll load up the graphic for next show. It's awesome. He has Caleb and Drake May in a Superflex startup, and we didn't have to reach on those guys. Anyways, trade DeAndre Swift in a 2027 second for Jamison Williams. Already out a 2027 first.
So he's already going all in. Basically, he's going to be trying to contend. Yeah. I don't mind this, actually. I don't know how you feel about it as well, but I kind of like doing this. It's a high upside play. For if something happens to Amon-Ra again, I know Amon-Ra has been playing through injuries the past couple of years. What happens if he goes out again? Can Jamison go back to being that sort of one that we kind of saw last year?
We saw Jamison last year. We never thought it'd be a 1-to-1 comparison, but Jamison Williams was a target hog last year when St. Brown went down. And St. Brown's a guy that doesn't really miss games. He always plays hurt, but he does get hurt quite a bit. He just actually plays through them.
He does get hurt, yeah.
The end of the year last year, St. Brown actually did get hurt. He would have missed games. He did miss games, but it was because they were out of the playoffs. But he probably would have missed 2 or 3 games. Derek says Ferguson had 71 from 791 and 5 touchdowns in 23. 82 for 600, 8 touchdowns last season. 2024, he was injured. Yeah, that's why I took Ferguson everywhere in 2024 at like 10 and 13, and he fucking got hurt. And Dak Prescott got hurt as well. But Ferguson is pretty safe and steady. We're going to get to him in a second. Vegeta says, thoughts about the Rams wanting to make Terrence Ferguson third in targets in the team this year. McVay is saying that this in press conferences. It's a fair number because what is third in targets in the Rams actually mean? It's like 65 targets. It's literally going to be 160 to Puka. It's going to be 110 to Devontae Adams. And then you're going to have like 5 players all in that 30 to 50 range. So that's the problem. Like they're so top heavy in terms of their target share and opportunity share there that Terrence Ferguson, now what he can do with 60, if it's maybe, let's call it 60 targets. Terrence Ferguson can have 40 catches for 500 yards and 6 touchdowns, which is actually really good for where you're drafting him because he goes way after the 4th tier. He's literally tight end 27. The biggest issue here, though, Chaz, is you have 4 other tight ends there. They're going to play them all, apparently. Like, they're going to play them all, and we'll see if they play Max Clare. Is Ferguson a guy, if you're in a deep league and you're looking for a upside tight end 2, let's say you have Sam Laporta, let's say you have Harold Fannin, and you don't want to take a guy like TJ Hawkinson, who I would take, but like no one else would take him. Would you shoot for the moon with Terrence Ferguson? Because, where everyone's looking for like who's the receiver to step up. Is it CJ Daniels? Is it Jordan Whittington if there's an injury to Puka or Devontae Adams? The answer is the tight end step up. They feature the tight end more. They give them more snaps. They consolidate that room a little bit more when there's an injury. Is that what the upside with Terrence Ferguson is, and also being tied to an awesome Rams offense?
Yeah, I guess. And I mean, as Devontae Adams gets older and older, I know we saw him miss the end of last year with that injury that he had. I mean, you never know. Can it happen again? Potentially. And so, yeah, who's going to have to step up? And it's going to be the tight end that Stafford is comfortable with. So, I mean, that's definitely worth a snag. At the
issue with Ferguson is he's clearly the most athletic in the bunch. He's the seam stretcher. But Parkinson's the fucking touchdown dude. Like, Parkinson's a monster. He's 6'7". So, like, he's going to be on the field quite a bit. And they'll play a lot. They're obviously going to probably live in 12 personnel this year. You get to run. There's just a lot to go around there. That defense is better. They're not going to throw the ball as much this year. I am in on Ferguson in best ball. I'm not taking him in redraft. I understand the appeal of the upside, but it's like, not only do you need an injury to Adams and or Puka, you need an injury in the tight end room. So you need 2 injuries. Like, that's just too much for me to have a guy. Like, are you ever going to feel comfortable starting Terrence Ferguson in fantasy? Like, he could very well give you a 2 for 25.
Could very well do that. And then also talk about the Rams defense. I just want to make sure you're on the same page I am. There's like 0% chance AD comes back, right?
I would say 10%
Like,
just because of what they're building there. But they don't need
I just
Aaron
think it's
Donald. The
so
point
low.
is,
I just think
even
it's
without
so
Aaron
low.
Donald, with Myles Garrett and the upgrades they made to that secondary, they're probably a top 10 unit. And they were really bad last year. I think they were worse than the numbers even indicate, because we saw those games when they needed to stop, they couldn't get it. And it was
They couldn't do it against the Panthers.
No shit. The Panthers should have beat them in the playoffs, man. They did beat them in the regular season as well. How many seasons does George Kittle have left? Let's break it up into 2 questions. How long does George Kittle play? And then how many seasons does he have? Like, because like we're gonna
fantasy relevance.
Technically, Kelsey's playing right now, but Kelsey's fucking awful. And the numbers with Kelsey are better than what the actual eye test is.
Yes.
I'm gonna give you this year and next year for Kittle being George Kittle that we know, like 80% of Kittle. I think he plays 3 more years up till he's 36. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing as what Kelsey is right now. So I could say, 3 to 4 more years. The playing age 36 season, whichever year that is, 3rd year, 4th year. I could see that.
All right. Fantasy Dog, what's going on, man? How you doing? Shamrock's in here. What's up? Mouse says, this is a funny statement. So Loveland 1,100 yards, Burden 1,100 yards, Rome 1,100 yards, rest of the team 700. You know what that adds up to? That would be our first 4,000-yard passer in Chicago's history. He ends at exactly 4,000.
We were only, what was it, like 50 short last year, right? Wasn't it not much?
So, it was close. It
was extremely close. I think it will get done this year. I think second year of that Ben Johnson offense, I think we could see potentially 42 to 4,300 this year if all things go right.
Mouth driving the likes up here. He says, how the fuck we only got 12 likes? That was 6 minutes ago. Now we have 16 likes. Guys, if we get 30 likes in this video, 30 likes in the video on the stream, we do an underdog draft to end the show. If we get 5 subs on the show here, we do an underdog draft. If we get 15 more super chat dollars, we do a draft after the show, or any Patreon sign up. If you want to join the community, what better time than now? We have 56 days of the NFL season. Thank you to Blake for pointing that out to us. Hop in the community, and then we will do an underdog draft. We need more leg. Let me see where we're at. I think we're caught up here. Vegeta says Caleb is also playing against the toughest defensive schedule this year. Defensive schedule is 32nd. That'll be tough to improve this year. On paper, I get what you're saying, but I don't look too much into this stuff. Like 32nd, that's from last year, right? Like last year. What's going to change between now and the season? Quite a bit. What's going to change from last season to now? Quite a bit. What's going to change from week 1 to week 9? Injuries and scheme stuff, coaching changes. Like, yeah, it's a tough schedule, but I'm not going to say it's like it's too tough. Like, last year we identified the Patriots as an easy schedule. That was a hit. We do this all the time when we're wrong. So, like, I'm not one. I will look at it as like a tiebreaker, but like we get these things wrong in terms of what are good teams, what are bad teams, what are good defenses, what are bad defenses, wrong all the time. And, we don't know what like the rookie class is going to be. We don't know. Again, you get a new defensive coordinator in there, an unproven guy, new head coach, like things change. So, yeah, it is a tough schedule, but Ben Johnson and Caleb, like, I think they can do it. Like when you, and I'm not putting them into the Sean McVay tier yet. I'm saying like, it doesn't matter with the Lions, right? Jared Goff does it every year. It doesn't matter with the Rams or the Niners or some of these other teams that just have, the Chiefs for all those years. Like Andy Reid's as a boss, like good coaching and good quarterback play trump tough schedules. Where it matters, we're talking about against like Bryce Young. Like Bryce Young has a very hard schedule this year. That matters because I like Dave Canales, but he's not a genius. And Bryce Young is 5'4". So like those things are problems. Like, but with Caleb, I'm not too worried about it. I'm not worried about it with, when Kyle Shanahan. I'm not worried about it with Matt Stafford this year. Schedule is relative for one, and also a good coach and a good quarterback can totally overcome that shit. Silent. In my dynasty league, I have Caleb, Drake May, Dak, and Kirk Cousins, Pickens and Rome, and wide receivers and Bijan and Genty. So I'm guessing this is super flex. Caleb, Drake May, Dak, and Kirk Cousins.
It's a sick team.
That's very sick. I would consider trading your third quarterback. I'd probably try to trade Dak to a contender because you have Caleb and Drake as your future. So get rid of Dak and don't trade low on him. Just you have to identify the team that needs a quarterback short that's in win now mode because a rebuilding team doesn't want anything to do with Dak. You get less value there. Do that. Pair him up with one of your wide receiver 3 and try to get yourself a wide receiver 2, whatever they have most of. Would be my advice. I don't know if you were asking for a Silent, but that's the first thing I see there. It's pretty badass team though.
Oh yeah.
Kincaid and Knox had exactly 49 targets last year with more now in that lineup. What's the upside with Kincaid? I'm not concerned about the targets because those will come with playing time. The concern with Kincaid is the dude's a 40% snap player. And even last year, with that limited snaps, Kincaid with 49 targets is impressive as hell. And the only reason Knox had that many targets was because Kincaid missed some games. So if Dalton Kincaid can be a 70% snap player, I don't need 80%, 90% like the big dogs get. 70% with Kincaid. If they can actually play him on some running downs where, sometimes Allen will fucking audible out and throw the ball. Dude, Dalton Kincaid is a stud. I don't believe it'll ever happen because A, Dalton Kincaid can't stay healthy, and B, Chaz, you're about as good of a run blocker as Dalton Kincaid, and you weigh 120 pounds. Just throwing it out there, man.
I'm just looking at these stats. It's very interesting. He had a couple games over 50%, and then he gets injured. And they start playing him again, then he gets injured. Starts playing again, gets injured. So that seems to be the revolving door with him.
But somehow he would have, a game with 38% of the snaps, and he'd have fucking 5 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown, which don't correlate. And I hate starting guys that aren't on the field. I just can't live like that. Give me a guy out there running wind sprints. At least I know he's out there in the field. When I'm watching the game, I see him on the field. When I'm starting a guy that's not in the field, I'm like, watching the game, I'm like, well, Kincaid's been off the field for 4 plays, comes in for 2, and then gets off the field. I'm like, yeah, if he doesn't get the touchdown here, it's a bad week. I don't like to rely on touchdowns. Nope, won't do it. Shamrock, aside from James Cook, I feel like the Bills' offensive players are a coin flip. Hopefully they use DJ Moore like Diggs. That would be the ideal situation. They probably won't use him like prime Diggs, but somewhere in between – that and what we saw with DJ Moore last year, right? Like 110 targets for DJ Moore would be ideal. Yeah,
that would be the most ideal. I still think we can get a bit of prime DJ Moore back into relevance. Hopefully, obviously, we're not going to see prime Diggs out of DJ Moore, but it should be better. Like I understand people saying it's coin flip. I've seen a lot of people down on DJ Moore, and I don't. I understand the reasoning behind that, but then again, when is Josh Allen, when he had Diggs, he's fully supported Diggs, and I think that's it's just we have a little bit less of a Diggs player in DJ Moore, so I think he should be able to fully support that. Not as much, but in terms of being able to support DJ Moore as much as he can be supported.
The reason people are talking about the Drake May regression because the second hardest schedule, it's not about the schedule this year. It's about the schedule last year. Last year's schedule for Drake May, it was like if you created a Madden franchise and you could control your schedule, that's what Drake May had last year. It was the most cupcake thing we've ever seen, not taking anything away from Drake May. And the impressive thing, he did that with no receivers. So now it's probably going to be right in the middle, right? The schedule's way tougher, but now he has way better weapons. So I'm not off Drake May this year by any stretch. I just like the other guys almost as much, and they go later. Give me Jaden Daniels around later. And Drake May he's going too close to Lamar Jackson for my liking. It's Lamar Jackson. I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid on 1 year, especially one with the easiest schedule in the history of mankind. It was that fucking easy. Let's see. Silent won a Dynasty League last year, so that makes sense. Your team's fucking awesome. Mouth has a friend in a competition right now for the Maxim model competition. It's in the Discord, guys. 20 hours left, so I'm going to post it again tonight or tomorrow morning. Guys, get on there and vote. Support Mouth. Let's get back to the list, shall we? The tight ends list. Very, very tight. Let's talk about tier 3. We already talked about Kelsey and Kittle a little bit, but we have Ferguson at 11, Dalton Kincaid at 12, Isaiah Likely, Dallas Goedert, and Mark Andrews. So let's do a general discussion here. We'll pick out a couple names. Who can jump to tier 2? I know you identified Kelsey. I don't think that's the case. George Kittle, clearly, if the health is good, year in, year out, we've seen with George Kittle also tied to Kyle Shanahan, and just George Kittle's an all-time player. Let's throw them out of this. Let's go 11 through 15. Give me the name most likely to you that is going to jump to this next tier. Ferguson, Kincaid, Likely, Goddard, or Mark Andrews. Full PPR.
Full PPR. Excuse me. I'm going to go. I don't like going it because I would much rather go Ferguson, but I'm going to go Likely. Just because the fact that Neighbors might be gone, I think Neighbors could Likely could build that trust up with Jackson Dart while Neighbors is gone, and kind of be who that is, that primary target other than Neighbors, and who Dart's going to be chucking it to. I think we could definitely see Likely make that jump. I think he's still, like 26 or 27.
Young
just
guy.
going to sign there for multiple years. John Harbaugh definitely likes using him. I mean, obviously that's not his area of specialties, but he brought him over for a reason. So I guess we'll just have to see what happens this year. But I think that's the most likely guy to go.
Isaiah Likely is the most likely guy. No pun intended. I'm going to give you Mark Andrews. I know a lot of people are going to say Dallas Goedert. Shamrock says Dallas Goedert. 13 touchdowns last year, and now you have no A.J. Brown. I understand that. He's getting older. We all think Mark Andrews is some kind of dinosaur. He is younger than Dallas Goedert. And a lot of people love Likely. I was always a big Likely fan. He was one of those tight ends I had on my bench as my second tight end, just as essentially a handcuff, because I knew if anything ever happened to Mark Andrews, with Harbaugh, with Lamar, Isaiah Likely would go bonkers, right? Just never really happens. Likely, yes, he's probably the number one option. Probably the number one when Malik Neighbors is out. I just don't think Isaiah Likely is very good. I was a Likely guy forever. I'm just saying, let's connect the dots here. So they literally paid Mark Andrews the same money that Likely got. They had the option to re-sign Likely, the younger player, 3 years younger than Mark Andrews, 3 or 4 years younger. They chose to pay Mark Andrews, who is clearly a better blocker and fits what they want to do there as their number one tight end more. But in the time, I was like, why didn't they just sign Isaiah Likely? Because Isaiah Likely is the heir apparent. They chose to not do that. They let Likely walk. That's one ding against Isaiah Likely. Do I trust Jackson Dart? I like him in fantasy because it's rushing. Do I trust Harbaugh? Harbaugh, it was a rough go at the end of the year last year. The whole benching Derrick Henry. Do we know he's going to play Isaiah Likely 80% of the snaps? He should, but I don't know that's the case. I really don't know that's the case. So I am not a Likely guy. I see the upside. The upside of Likely is it should be in that second tier, but the downside of Likely is he's just a little better than what we saw in Baltimore. And yes, everyone's going to say he was the number 2, right? He was the number 2 behind Mark Andrews. Well, you know what? The Ravens play so much heavy personnel, so much 12. Isaiah Likely was essentially the third leading snap getter all those years on the field. And he never eclipsed 400 yards. I don't know, man. Give me Mark Andrews for 12 touchdowns this year. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but they did not reinforce this receiver room at all. They brought in Elijah Surratt, who I love as a rookie. I love him in Indiana. I like Surratt. I can't believe he fell that far in the draft, but he's not cooked. Just go back to, I know it's one play. Remember the fake tush push where he did the little whirling dervish and then ran for a 40-yard touchdown against the Browns end of the year, week 13. That was he was one of the fastest ball carriers in the league last year in that play. I'm just saying, Mark Andrews' film has not been great for a couple years. And, the Mark Andrews we used to know and love, the 80-catch, 1,000-yard receiver, is pretty long gone. But what is still there? You're tied to Lamar Jackson. You're tied to, a team that does not have a good second option. And Zay Flowers is a great first option, but Zay Flowers is allergic to the end zone. He did not feature him in the end zone, in the red zone. They feature Mark Andrews. Lamar Jackson loves Mark Andrews. Even in a full PPR, all these guys are not volume plays. You can make an argument for Likely. Kincaid is when he's on the field, doesn't play enough snaps. Ferguson is when there's an injury to CD or Pickens, he does get 8-9 catch games for sure. But when those guys are healthy, you're getting a lot of 4 for 40s from Jake Ferguson. He's more of a touchdown guy as well. So I think my answer is Mark Andrews. And he's the lowest of the bunch here, tight end 15. Like, Mark Andrews could very well do a Dallas Goedert from last year, right? Like, if Lamar has this bounce back year, Lamar every other year has a 35 touchdown pass season.
Yep.
Where are they going? Where are the touchdowns going this year? Let's try to figure this out with Baltimore. Let's say 35, and you might say that's crazy. Lamar can't do that. Well, he's done it twice in his career already.
He can do that. Yeah.
He's less willing to run now because he's getting older. Where are the touchdowns going? 30. Let's just call it 30. Let's call it 30 touchdowns from Lamar Jackson, which is totally possible. Let's give Zay Flowers 8. 8 seems like a lot.
I was going to say 8 as well. Let's give him 8. Okay. That is a lot, but for 30 touchdowns, yeah, we'll give him 8.
Now Isaiah Likely's gone, so you don't have Likely in the mix too much. Elijah Surratt is a rookie that's pretty good in the red zone. You have Rashad Bateman, who did have a 7 touchdown, maybe 8 touchdown season 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you have Derrick Henry, who just doesn't catch touchdown passes because they don't throw the ball to him. And, Justice Hill usually catches 2 or 3. Let's give Justice Hill 4. Let's give the running backs 5. Let's give them 5.
Yep.
5 from the running backs, 8 from some Zay Flowers. Now we're up to 13. There's 17 more touchdowns up for grabs. I think Mark Andrews gets at least half of those 17. I could make an argument he gets 10.
You could make that argument because that's the one thing I do love about watching the Ravens is whenever they're in the red zone or on that goal scenario, it feels like their first option is always to just get a play where they try and target Mark Andrews, which I think last year it didn't work out that much because it was always like, they were just covered up really well or whatever was going on. But this year could be different, and it could be that back to that Lamar Jackson being Lamar Jackson throwing for 30, 35 touchdowns.
So how would you rank these guys, 11 through 15? Ferguson, Kincaid, Likely, Goddard, Andrews. You have to take your first tight end. You wait at tight ends. You wait for the top 12 guys to get drafted. Essentially, Ferguson's right on that line. Give me your ranking in full PPR of these guys. Is Ferguson the number one here just because he's the safest? He's tied to Dak Prescott, PPR scam a little bit, has potential for 8 touchdowns. I think he's the safest of the bunch. Where Goddard, you have an offensive philosophy change there potentially. So rank these guys: Ferguson, Kincaid, Likely, Goddard, Andrews, 1 through 5.
So I'm going to go Ferguson 1 just because of the safeness. He's going to get probably 60 to 70 with 800 yards and 6 touchdowns. Like, you love that. I'm going to go Likely next. I'm going to go Andrews after that, and then go Goddard, and then Kincaid. I just don't like the fact that Kincaid is just always hurt. I would be shitting myself if I had to start Kincaid every week.
You hate Dalton Kincaid. Like, you hate him. You want to kill him, dude.
You stupid fuck. Go buy some sandals. Buy some sandals. You want to fight? I'll fight you. I haven't fought in 10 years. I'll fight you guys. What you got? Let's see. Throw down, bitch. Throw down, bitch.
When's the last time you've been in a fight? Have you ever been in a fight, like an actual fight?
I have been a couple times. Or just, I'll say actually just once. Just once, if you want to count. Yeah.
Did you win?
Just one. It's like a half. I think we both lost. I think we both lost.
You both lost. Jesus. You know what? To quote a very famous man and a very awesome man, Patrick Swayze, no one ever wins a fight. Okay? But I'll say this. True. You just said you were in one. Get ready to get another one because Dalton Kincaid's knocking on your door tomorrow. Maybe even tonight. He's going to take a plane out there and whoop your ass, bro.
Oh, boy. I'd be scared about that, man. I don't know about that. It would take 2 of me probably to do some damage against him.
Dude, this is hard to rank. I'm going to put Ferguson on top just because of the stability. I'm probably less likely to take Ferguson because I want to shoot for upside. I'm going to go Ferguson, Andrews, Likely, Kincaid, Goddard. You know what? I know Stowers is they're sour on Stowers over there in Philly, but he's going to factor in. They drafted Lemon. They're going to give Saquon a hell of a lot of work. We talked about Tank Bigsby earlier. Run first team. Would it surprise you if Dallas Goedert played the whole year and had 5 touchdowns this year? You know what I mean? Like that stuff is real. Like 13 touchdowns was insane last year. All those design little pitch plays and it was like what they used to do with Travis Kelce. And Dallas Goedert's not Travis Kelce, and he's getting older. And like I'm still fine with Dallas Goedert, but I don't really want pieces in this passing game in Philly besides Devonta Smith. Like that's really the only one I want. I want Smith. I want Saquon. I'm fine with Hurts. But like how far down the line? People are drafting Lemon high. Like there's a faction of people that love Dontavian Wicks. Hollywood Brown is going to be there for 5
You
games.
know why you got to draw at some point.
That's my line, right? Is that I think Dallas Goedert's not a volume play. It's essentially Goddard versus Andrews are similar type players right now. And like I'm buying it on Lamar throwing 30+ touchdowns. I'm sorry. Jalen Hurts is never throwing 30 touchdowns. It's just never going to happen. They tush push too much. He's not the talent that Lamar is. There's too much. Look at the teams. Like I just named the Eagles' whole thing, and Derrick Henry's going to have that same share of the line of the work that Saquon's going to have. But like, there's so many guys I named. There's one guy, Zay Flowers, in Baltimore. Like there's one guy outside of a rookie, and then Rashad Bateman, who's washed as hell. And they don't have a Eli Stowers. They don't have a young up and coming tight end. Like the competition is just so much stiffer for Dallas Goedert than Mark Andrews. So that's why I'm pretty high on Mark Andrews. I take him a decent amount of best ball, but I think, and I play a lot of full PPR, which is kind of an issue with Mark Andrews. I think there's a chance that he comes back to not 80 catches like we saw before, maybe in the low 60s, which is be pretty good for Mark Andrews because he's going to have the touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, as we're talking about this range, 11 to 15 more, do you think this could potentially be that range where some guys or some people are pretty high on these guys, but this could end up being that dead zone that we usually talk about, where guys just have shit years, and I could just see honestly all these guys having semi good years or semi just dog shit years. And
if this is the kind of dead zone, though, that's good because it doesn't matter if they miss. You're going to maybe take another guy. Let's talk about the last tier here. And let's say we go with one of these guys, Ferguson, Kincaid, likely, Andrews. We want to pair him up with a high upside option, right? So who is that option? So this dude, tight end's so deep this year. Now it's deep with a bunch of shit in reality, but like I can make a case for all these guys for upside options, right? Juwan Johnson was downright great last year. And you're tied to Kellen Moore's offense with so many plays. They did draft a rookie who I do like, an Oscar Delp, but he's a project. Also, no production in college. Bretton Strange is tied to Liam Cohen, who and Trevor Lawrence, who refuses to throw the ball past 10 yards downfield. Chikakonkwo, until they sign another receiver, is essentially the number 2 pass catcher there in Washington. Aronde Gadsden, who everyone was touting, you remember on the shows, everyone's like, Gadsden to the moon. Gadsden's a top 5 10. I'm like, no. And Gadsden has the ability. But now they bring in David Njoku. That's a little bit of a weird situation. Hunter Henry, we talked about tight end 20 every year, 600 yards, 5 touchdowns. Dalton Schultz, who CJ Stroud loves, and he is the only show in town there. My boy TJ Hawkinson, who I think should be ranked tight end 12. That's where I'm going to have him ranked personally, ahead of all those guys we just talked about. Kenyon Sadiq at 23. How the fuck is Sadiq at 23? Like, I hate Sadiq. I don't like the situation because there's a lot of mouths there. But Kenyon Sadiq is a 16th overall, was it? Middle of the first round? Yeah. Like, those guys find he's a fucking freak of nature. Sadiq, it's just, we named all the other guys are safer options with some upside. Sadiq should be going way higher than this. And then AJ Barner, Gunnar Helm, Pat Freiermuth, Terrence Ferguson down there is 30. So let's break this down. Is this a pretty fair order for you? And like I said, I think Sadiq and Hawkinson need to be higher on this list because these other guys, like, what's the real upside of Gadsden? What's the upside of Bretton Strange? Juwan Johnson, now they drafted Tyson. Like, that's not going to be the target share he had last year. Is Sadiq the guy that's most undervalued here for you?
I mean, you could say that. It's just the fact that it seemed like he was drafted more to be a receiver than anything. It was just a complete shock when he was.
And then they draft Omar Cooper after that. Like, they draft a receiver. They have Garrett Wilson. They trade for Adonai Mitchell. Like, it's also the Jets. So like, they don't make good decisions. It
was weird, but it's also about how in the world do you draft the guy 16th in the first round and then not use him? Like that. Like that's kind of the argument. But then again, it's like it's the Jets. So there's so many arguments there.
Well, just to play devil's advocate a little bit, or not even, let's just speak facts here. Kyle Pitts rookie year, they used him a lot, right? Kyle Pitts was drafted even higher. Then the next 2 years, they didn't use Kyle Pitts. Like, Kyle Pitts was playing the snap. We were playing the Dalton Kincaid snap shares where it was like 40, 50, 60% of the snaps were Kyle Pitts. And I promise you, I know Sadiq is looks better with a shirt off than Kyle Pitts. We all know that. Guy's a fucking Hulk. But Kyle Pitts is a better tight end prospect than Kenyon Sadiq. It's just, we can't even debate it because the comp for Kyle Pitts, which was wrong, was Calvin Johnson. but that was a stupid comp. I'm just saying that was the comp by experts. And Kyle Pitts was drafted 4th overall. Is that correct? Top 5? Like, that's rare air. And they didn't use him year 2, year 3. That might have been injury related. I'm just saying, like, there is a precedent for someone not using a highly drafted tight end because they're just not polished enough. They're bad in the run game. You know, they don't understand how to beat zone. That's Kenyon Sadeek's issues, honestly. But this is the ultimate flyer. If you draft Jake Ferguson, for instance, like, I want to take Sadeek. I don't want to take Dalton Schultz. Like, Dalton Schultz is Jake Ferguson, just in a worse offense. Like, what the hell is the difference? I don't want to draft the guy's brother. I want to draft someone that I can shoot for the moon with. And Sadeek is that option. I think it's a late season surge, right? I think that's what you're going to get from Sadeek. Early on, it's going to be really rough.
Yeah, I mean, you just never know with the Jets. That's my only thing. Like, he could start off with, yeah, this is not a guy I'm starting week 1, week 2, week 3. I want to see him get a base, get a floor, see how they utilize him in week in and week out, and then go from there. As I was saying, all the moves they made, especially because you also have Geno there, which I mean that's definitely an upgrade at quarterback compared to what was going on last year. So, it's just tough. It's just tough. I would definitely draft him as a flyer, but you just can't start him week 1 to 4.
Let's have a quick TJ Hawkinson discussion because I talk about him for 5 or 10 minutes every single show. Just like last year, I was doing the same thing with Tucker Kraft. Now, that one hit. I don't expect the same upside, right? But the jump in terms of ADP, Kraft was 13 last year. I was drafting him at tight end 9. That was a clear smash till the injury. I have TJ Hawkinson currently as my tight end 12. That's where I have him ranked. I don't have to draft him there, obviously. I would rather have TJ Hawkinson than Jake Ferguson in my personal ranks, my personal opinion, because he's highest paid tight end. We're going all the other stuff. Where would you have TJ Hawkinson ranked? Is he fairly ranked for you? Do you want him over Okonkwo and Gatson and Strange? Do you want him below Sadeek and Barner? Give me your TJ Hawkinson opinion.
I would probably just have him below Johnson. I love Juwan Johnson. I love that killing more offense. I think that's going to be booming this year. I'm pretty high on that complete offense as a whole. It's just hard with Hawk to, I mean, as you said, not be. I mean, you're obviously more favorable on him than I am, but the fact that Kyler's probably going to be started there at the start of the year, Kyler likes to go to his first option, then he completely dip. That's also why McBride was so good over there with Kyler, and eventually it's like, is this too low for Hawkinson, which is what it kind of feels like.
And we look at all these guys ahead of him, and everyone's like, TJ Hawkinson's dust. Well, these other guys aren't very good. Like, Juwan Johnson is a converted wide receiver, not a great player. Bretton Strange is literally just a guy. Chick Okonkwo is 6'2", 235 pounds, undersized tight end. We've never seen him have any relevant fantasy years. Gadsden is in a timeshare, potentially a 3-way timeshare with Charlie Kohler and Njoku they brought in, and there's a lot of receivers there. Hunter Henry is just as dusty as 4. I think he's older than Hawkinson. Dalton Schultz is Jake Ferguson, but worse. And then Sadeek's right below him, who is just super raw. So I'm saying, like, all these guys, I could poke holes in all these guys' games.
Yep.
They all have worse situations than TJ, for sure.
Yeah, and at that point, like, you're just making him your guy, So that's kind of how this zone kind of feels. It's like you just got to kind of pick and choose which guy you're going to like the best, because you can poke holes in everyone's game. So this just happens to be your year of the TJ Hawk.
It's just there's too much stuff, too many dots to connect here that I love. Give me 2 guys that you love here from this range, and then give me 2 that you hate. Real quick, Dean Johnson says Gunnar Helm 60 catches this year. Dean, if you believe that, you need to hop over to whatever betting app you have, because guess what they have for Gunnar Helm over under receiving yards this year? What do you think they have for him?
It's gotta be. I'm gonna put out something low. I'm gonna go 250.
No, 399.
399.
That's
okay.
Pretty fucking low, though, dude. Like,
I was gonna say.
I'm saying if he's gonna have if 660 catches, I know obviously you're saying that's his upside, but like that's really low. That is extremely low. So if you're in on Gunnar Helm this year, it's gonna be hard to he's not really draftable unless you're playing a 2 tight end league, which the only league that's 2 tight ends is my leagues, because I like playing those deep fucking random leagues.
Yes.
Go bet on that yardage total because he has no injury concerns that I know of coming out of college in Texas and last year. He's a guy that's going to be on the field a lot because, and then they brought in Daniel Bellinger, who's just literally Daniel Bellinger's just a butt buddy of fucking Brian Daboll. But like, what is is Bellinger? He's nothing. Gunnar Helm should be on the field a lot. So if you like Gunnar Helm this year and you're not going to have a lot of shares of him in fantasy because what's the points? Bet his number, 400 yards. That's fucking nothing. That's zero. It's 30 yards a game. Is that right? That's less than 30 yards a game. That's like 26 yards a game.
Yeah, it's got to be way less than that. So. It's interesting, but two guys I like here. I'm actually going to go Hunter Henry just because I feel like, kind of all the stuff's going to be taken off him. I know it's going to be harder defenses, tougher schedule, but I mean, we just had actual wide receivers coming into town, and we could see him kind of being utilized as that red zone guy that's hopefully going to get maybe a couple of red zone targets a week, maybe a couple of touchdowns. You never know. That's being very hopeful, and then I'm pretty in on Juwan Johnson. I know you're kind of talking crap about him, but I just love that Kellen Moore offense, and I've never not trusted it. It's kind of like a lot of those guys that are Dallas products or guys that can prove themselves to Dallas and go off in other places, they do pretty well. So that's why I'm also liking Johnson, especially with the additions of ETN, and then also it's Tyson. I mean, there's going to be everyone's going to be focused on other things. Then Johnson's going to have his little sneaky things going, and then my dislike is going to be AJ Barner. This kind of just like a little personal vendetta, but more so, I remember starting him a couple times last year, and it was just brutal. I'd watch him get out there. He wouldn't really get any targets, barely any yards. I was like, all right, yeah, this is never going to happen again. Now, I don't know if the situation's gotten, like, for sure better there, what's going on. And then also, I'm not really in on Dalton Schultz. I understand it's going to be a short, just trying to get as many yards as they can every single drive with Houston, just trying to get those field goals. But still, I think it's going to be on the ground, not really throwing-wise. And if it is throwing, it's not going to be to Dalton Schultz.
Okay, I'm gonna get to mine in a second. I'm gonna get to all the questions here in a couple minutes. I want to talk about this question because one of my dislikes is Juwan Johnson because he's going the highest of all these guys, and I'm gonna give you the reason why. So, Vegeta says Kyle Pitts and Juwan Johnson the same stats last year, but this year you can draft Kyle Pitts around pick 73 and Johnson around pick 140. I'm gonna give you the reason for this. Bringing in Jordan Tyson, huge addition. I mean, he's a top 10 pick that is a baller, and last year after they traded Shaheed. They also had, they had Vele, who was a 7th-round pick a couple years ago, an old 7th-round pick. He also got hurt. So, like, when Juwan Johnson, it was a product of, like, what else was there? Let's also not forget that they didn't, that they bring in ETN, who's a pass catcher. Alvin Kamara gets hurt last year. Kendre Miller gets hurt last year. Like, didn't Devin Neal get hurt too? Dude, they were on their, like, 6th-string running back. So, like, they had no one in the backfield catching passes. No one worth a damn there. You had Devon Vele, who was playing pretty well. He gets hurt. Like, literally, it was Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson last year. Now you're adding in all these other pieces. You're going to have a lot of plays for sure with Kellen Moore. The touchdown upside of Juwan Johnson is very low because Tyler Shuck, again, another Vegas thing, 18.5 touchdowns they have him at. Like, so they have a lot of yards for Tyler Shuck. And Tyler Shuck's also kind of not a run-first quarterback, but he's super mobile. He's going to run, also around the goal line. If you're going to tell me, I know, again, it's a Vegas line. Don't take it as gospel, but, like, it's really low. This is not Jared Goff at 30 over-under. Like, 18's low, dude. So let's give him 20 touchdown passes, which is going to beat his Vegas number. Where does Juwan Johnson fit in that mix? Etienne and Kamara are going to be good for 3 or 4. Chris Olave better catch 7 or 8 or he's fucking busted.
I was going to give him 8.
Jordan Tyson is a elite prospect. Give him 4. So now we're looking at 5 touchdowns for the rest of the team. No, and they drafted Oscar Delp. Like, there's just not enough on the bone there. Juwan Johnson needs to live on volume, and he's a fine player. I do like Juwan Johnson, the player. I think he's a above average player. Definitely got some juice to him. Terrible hands somehow for a converted wide receiver, but pretty good with the ball in his hands after the catch when he does make the catch. There's just like, what is the upside of Juwan Johnson, dude? It's like, is it 55 catches? This year in particular, right? You can say the same thing about Kyle Pitts last year. It was a product of everyone getting hurt and then having Kirk Cousins. I get all that, but like Kyle Pitts is, they just paid him, right? Like
Paid him a lot.
he's a highly paid, like
Paid him a good amount of money.
Juwan Johnson might not be on this team next year, and I think that's the Oscar Delp pick. Like this is a fringe guy I'm avoiding personally. I understand the appeal. Look at last year's numbers. We're looking at it. Look at the box scores. I like to look beyond the box score. That's what we do on this show. And I can just give you my reasoning. It's easy for me to say, fuck Juwan Johnson, he sucks. Like, that's what the counselor does. I'm going to lay out 9 reasons why. And I'm not going to guarantee I'm right. Like, dude, no one knows. Maybe the whole team gets hurt again this year. Maybe Tyler Shuck throws 34 touchdowns this year. It's in the realm of possibility because Tyler Shuck's a baller. But I'm going to go off just what Vegas is telling me, what my eyes tell me, and just a lot of, like, what's most likely to happen. TJ Hawkinson's going to destroy Juwan Johnson this year in fantasy. That's what's most likely to happen. There you go. Mic drop. Boom. Boom.
Mic drop. Move on. That's what Rob's saying.
By the way, as you guys know, never have any notes in the show. It's all here, baby. There's no notes. There's no notes. Yeah. So, did I convince you that Juwan Johnson's probably a bust this year?
I would say you kind of convinced me to be a little bit more shaky about him, but I don't know about being a bust. I
don't want to convince anyone on anything. The thing is, we want to just get more information, and then everyone makes their own decisions, right? And like sometimes, like we're not connecting the dots, and like it's easy to look at Juwan Johnson's box score and be like, dude, and like the highlights, he does look pretty good, but like we're not seeing the lowlights when Juwan Johnson's dropping 2 passes a game because he did. It was rough last year. The numbers were good though. Chikakonkwo, let's talk about him because if they don't bring another receiver in. And Ben Sinnott is just not the answer there. I've always loved Ben Sinnott. Don't laugh at Ben Sinnott. I love Ben Sinnott. But, like, it just hasn't worked. So is Chikakonkwo, like, the upside play of upside plays here? Because we saw Zach Ertz be really, really good with Jaden Daniels. And Jaden Daniels does not really throw the running backs very often. He will throw the tight end. And Chikakonkwo with the ball in his hand is very, very, very athletic.
Does it feel like for the past, like, 3 years – or 2 years, it's been like, oh, this is going to be Chikakonkwo's year. This is going to be Chikakonkwo's year. And every year it falls short tremendously. But I will say, with the fact that if they don't bring in someone else, it's kind of going off of the Juwan Johnson usage rate last year. It's like, who else do they have? And where are they going to get the volume? It's going to be going to McLaurin and Chig. So it's like, it's a mix and match of good and bad there, I think.
So my 2 hates, just clearly, is Juwan Johnson and Brenton Strange, the 2 guys going the highest. Dude, if Travis Hunter's going to be working in this wide receiver core, which a lot of people are saying he is, I don't believe in it as much, but he'll be on the field at least for 30% of the snaps. A lot of people are thinking 50%, which if that's the case, they paid Parker, they paid Jacoby, Brian Thomas is a first-round talent. Like, they're going to throw the ball to Bashal Tutin. Trevor Lawrence is going to take the ball and run 7 or 8 touchdowns in potentially this year. Like Brenton Strange is the definition of he's the new Hunter Henry, but he's not as good as Hunter Henry. So like I'm out on those 2 guys. I'm not going to say TJ Hawkinson because you all know my love there. I'm going to say Chikakonkwo, and I'm actually going to say Kenyon Sadiq. So I don't draft Sadiq a lot in best ball because I know I'm going to shoot for upside in best ball. I also don't want to take zeros. But on my bench, I am totally cool with taking zeros when he's on my bench, and I'll cut bait. I want to see what the first 4 or 5 weeks look like. Maybe Mason Taylor gets hurt. Maybe, they trade someone or Garrett Wilson gets hurt, and then Sadiq is the slot receiver, something like that. Like I want an upside play. It's Sadiq. And then Chikakonkwo, like I said, it's a target share situation, and he's going to probably have a good one. And I want to buy in on this offense in the Commanders. I want to buy in on Jaden Daniels. That was a rough year last year. He can't be this bad. And regardless of the injury, Jaden Daniels was bad last year without the injury. That team was bad last year. It can't be that bad. Also, the Commanders' defense is still shit. It's still shitty, dude. We think.
Yeah, should be shit.
All right, Chaz. Great segment. Great show. I'm gonna do all those questions by myself. You look all like bundled up and warm. Go get yourself a fucking cup of tea and just lay down and tug one out and do whatever you do at nighttime. Do those things.
Oh, Rob. Well, as always, I love being on here. Thank you once again for having me. Thank you for everyone who, was commenting and asked the questions. I know we were answering some, and we're just giving our tight end deep dive. What are we doing next week? Is that going to be wide receiver, running back? What's going on there?
One of
We're
those
just gonna
two.
do
Every
something
Wednesday,
else?
we have 2 more to do. So we're going to finish. We'll do running backs next week and then wide receiver the following week. And then we'll figure out some other stuff for the last 3 shows before the season. And you're also going to see Chaz on this program Wednesday nights, as usual, during the season, which is a big show. We like to do our panic meter segment there on Wednesday night, as well as answer
I
all your
love doing
questions.
those
That's what we
panic
do.
meters.
So, hell yeah, buddy. Appreciate you. Real quick, Team Money says, Chaz, who do you have winning the World Cup?
Ooh, I think it's gonna be Spain. I know Argentina was so good, and it feels like Argentina can score 3 goals, 2 or 3 goals just like that. They did it today. They did it the other day against Egypt in the round of, what was it? Was it 32 or round of 16? I mean, it was so good. I mean, they could score even when you have a team like England who's like hunkering down and just trying to play defense, and they can still put up 2 goals in a matter of 5 minutes. So, but I think Spain is just too good. Like, Spain is way too good, I think. But we'll see. It's gonna be awesome watching that on Sunday. I hope some of you guys are too. And you should watch it, Rob. That final.
I'll be breaking down Jawan Johnson's highlights. All right, man.
Rob, thanks for having me
Stay
on.
warm. Stay warm,
guys.
Chaz. It's only 92 degrees outside.
Oh yeah, I'm staying warm. Peace, guys.
Weirdo. All right, later, man. Vegeta says the counselor told me to draft Royce Freeman round 3 one year, and I did. The year after that, I decided I was going to watch the counselor and see what he says so I can use it to know who not to draft. That's a good idea because he whiffs on a lot of picks, and he's so aggressive on his bold takes. So, you know, the nice thing is whoever he tells you not to draft, you should just draft that guy because he always picks, like, he picked James Cook back-to-back years, last year and the year before, and he was a 4th and 5th round pick. Like, those kind of things because they're bold takes and they get views. So, yeah, he just fades the wrong players and just reaches on, bums. Let me get back up to the top of the comments here. Guys, we need 12 likes. 12 likes in the video, and we do an underdog draft. 15 Super Chat dollars, a Patreon sign-up, or still 5 subs. 0 subs in this video, guys. That is a little disappointing for that segment. That was a hell of a segment. Chaz knows ball. Let's see here where we at in the chat. Sorry. Here we go. So the likely conversation, we saw that. Brian Wright saw some tweets this week about number 1 overall tight end in the last 4 years. Had run the most routes. Which tight end do you think are contenders for the most routes run? Brock Bowers, man. That's the answer because they're going to be trailing in a lot of games. Outside of Brock Bowers, it's not going to be Loveland. It's probably not going to be Warren. Man, let me go back to the list real quick and see what we have here. So it could be Jake Ferguson. I know he's not going to be tight end 1, but Jake Ferguson, they play him a lot. The team's defense still not great. So I'm going to say Jake Ferguson's up there because he plays every snap. Shamrock, I do remember that. That was bullshit, the stepping on the line, the Chiefs game. That was the smallest little pubic hair ever, man. That sucks. Silent, Kincaid's numbers are insane. All he needs is more volume. I feel like betting on that one stat improving is a pretty good bet. It's not the volume. It's more snaps, right? Because when he's on the field, he's targeted very heavily, like 27% or something. It's very high. But the snap share is almost close to 27%. That needs to be close to 70% for him to actually return value and be the tight end we all want him to be. Dean says, I always take Likely or Andrews here if I can't kick it down the road to Chickaconquo. Fantasy Dog is apparently was in the movie Roadhouse because he says old school here over 20 fist fights about 500 nose broke twice. Okay, so you don't want to fuck around with Fantasy Dog, and he's a little bit of an older gentleman these days, but I bet he can still whoop some ass, dude. Thank you for the nice comments, man. We had a pretty badass segment. Brian, Likely Goddard, most viable to be top tier tight ends, in my opinion. At that point upside. Screw Kincaid, Andrews, can always find a tight end on the wire. He hates Andrews. It's my buddy Brian Wright, by the way. I don't know if he's still in here. That dude knows ball because had many fantasy battles for years and years. We've probably been playing together for 15 years now in our home leagues. Knows his shit for sure. Let's see. The Jets are the same team that underutilized Breece Hall's pass catching ability for years. the Jets do stink. It is pretty embarrassing what they're doing. You know what? I have some hope for the Jets. They got to get Aaron Glenn out of town. Aaron Glenn's got to go bye-bye. But call off. What's up, man? I want to thank you personally for getting me off Jadarian Price train. Didn't realize how eager Seattle is to get Holani/Wilson touches on the offense. There's still rumblings that they want to bring someone else in, whether it's Najee Harris or, if it's James Conner or Trey Benson, if they get released. I don't get it. Unless that's a reflection of Zach Charbonnet's knee injury, that they're just not banking on him playing this year, or like they're not going to bank on him being available early and what he's going to offer when he comes back. I don't know, man. There's a lot of nasty stuff with Jadarian Price in terms of competition. I don't think he's that great of a prospect either. So a lot of stuff that has gotten me way off. I'm 20 picks away from Jadarian Price. Like, he goes around pick 60. I do take some shares of him in best ball, like pick 73, just because the ADP game and it's best ball. But in redraft, man, I'm taking Chuba Hubbard ahead of him all day long. He goes pick 78. So that's where I'm at with Jadarian Price. Gunnar Helm had a couple small injuries last year, sprained ankle and a toe injury. Yeah, nothing major there. Gunnar had 44 catches last year. With Chig on the team, Chig had 56. Dude, so I'm saying, like, Gunnar Helm was barely playing the first, 5 or 6 weeks. And then still, Chig missed a game or two, but still had 44 catches. So I'm not the biggest. I think Gunnar Helm's more of just a guy than he is like a budding superstar. But it's not like that wide receiver room is awesome. I mean, Calvin Ridley could have a bounce back. I'm not a Carnal Tate guy personally. He's going to be on the field a lot. He's going to demand some targets. And Wan'Dale Robinson is a compiler. So Gunnar Helm has an option to, he's going to be on the field a hell of a lot. So I think that 399 receiving yards is nice. If you could find his catch number, I don't think it's listed yet, but like maybe they would list him at like 35 catches. Let's see, 399. So it'd probably be 39 catches because they probably project him to have 10 yards per catch. So if I would like that number more than the yardage. Whatever happened to Foster Moreau? Dude used to eat Juwan Johnson's numbers. Eat into Juwan Johnson's numbers. He had cancer, right? Foster Moreau got diagnosed with cancer. Pretty weird. And then he's fine now. He went to the Raiders. Foster Moreau went to the Raiders last time I checked. So he's probably out of the league now. He said not to pick Christian McCaffrey last year. I did in 3 leagues. I won all 3. He fades McCaffrey every year. He fades any like early running back. He tells you to take the rookie as in terms of Ashton Genty. This year it's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be Jeremiah Love. He's going to tell you to take those guys over McCaffrey and JT, and he never fades Bijan, but like that's just because it's easy. It's clickbait, man. It's like people are like, oh man, this guy's this high on Jeremiah Love. You know what? I'm high on Jeremiah Love too. But I'm not taking Jeremiah Love in the first round. That's bad advice. I would never tell anyone to do that. He might be a first-round player, but giving value away that much is not how you win fantasy. And I guess it's easy for me to do because I play so many leagues that I'm gonna get my shares of Jeremiah Love at value. But like, don't reach on a guy 12 picks. That is just not good. But don't take, Jeremiah Love over Christian McCaffrey. Don't take Ashton Genty this year over Christian McCaffrey. Like, if McCaffrey gets hurt, big whoop. I understand it's a chance. Every player has a chance to get hurt. Christian McCaffrey is a 100-reception player every year when he's healthy. The Knicks swept the ESPYs tonight. I didn't know they were still doing the ESPYs, so did not know that. And congratulations to the ESPYs and the Knicks. Congratulations.
I'd like to start out this press conference with a thank you to John Fox.
People are probably having a great time in that crowd.
What is happening here?
I haven't any idea, honestly.
I'm giving Frank a handy under the table.
That is true. Look, Snail, back off, because you're just mashing it now. It's not...
For God's sakes, Gail.
Mom, I'm sexually active now. Get over it.
You're 33 years old. You're supposed to be sexually active. You're not supposed to be fondling your uncle under a table.
Whoa, we're not blood related.
Marion Hampton is his guy this year, and that's a guy I am not on at all. Like, he's assuming that he's going to have 350 touches. Like, we don't know that Marion Hampton's good. I think he's pretty good. We don't know he's good. We don't know the workload. Like, they're going to use Kamani Vidal. They're definitely going to use Keaton Mitchell. Just wild. First round for Marion Hampton. No, thank you. No, thank you. Gunner's a lot faster than his 40 showed. Oh, 100%, man. His 40 was rough. That's why he fell in the draft, Jonathan. He was like a 4.73 guy, if I recall. and he's a huge guy. He's almost like Tanner Koziel or one of those big body tight ends this year. And he runs a lot. His game speed is much better than his actual 40 time suggested. That's why he fell. I think he was a 4th round pick last year out of Texas, if I recall, 4th or 5th. So yeah, I'm warming to Gunnar Helm. I take him a decent amount in best ball when I take Cam Ward. Even if I don't take Cam Ward, I have him and Pat Fryermuth at the kind of the bottom of that last tier of guys I trust that are going to be on the field. So yeah, I'm in on Gunnar Helm. Not for redraft personally, but I am in on Gunnar Helm. We got Disbanded in here. What's going on? We are caught up to the comments, guys. Disbanded, I sent you a comment, a friend request and a chat on the Discord. So check your Discord on the top left. It'll show like DMs. I DM'd you. Check that out. But I think that's it for me, guys. 2 hours. Look at that. Might be the shortest show we've had since fucking April. 2 hours. Thank you to Chaz for doing a great tight end preview and breaking down all the awesome stuff. Chaz knows ball. Pretty awesome segment. Thank you to all for all the comments. What's up, Brian? By the way, I didn't say that. You're the man. Only one super tonight from Mouth. Appreciate that. Everyone else in here, you know who you are. Appreciate it. I want to shout out to the Patreon members real quick since I have not done that. Let's give them all a nice little shout for being fucking amazing and supporting me and supporting all the people on the show. Thank you for that. And if you're interested in joining, hop in there. Go to the website. Go to the link in the description. Hop over to Patreon. Join. We'll get you in the Discord. We'll get you in the community. A lot of awesome perks. Jonathan says sick mattress, by the way. Yeah, I have that up to block my AC. I have window units. There's a lot of stains on this motherfucker. So it's also nice that the stains blow into the house. We get those nice aromas from past pleasures just blowing in the house. And that's what I want to do. He said no pee. No, there's other stains, not pee stains. That's a bad aroma. These other aromas are a little saltier. You know what I mean? Shit. You know what? I can't help myself.
I brought a little bottle of spermicidal lube, too.
And one little bottle of spermicidal lube?
Yeah, one little bottle of spermicidal lube.
Evan, that's psycho shit, man.
It's not.
It's like Charles Manson shit. What do you think Becca's gonna be psyched that you brought a bottle of lube? Oh, Evan, thank you for bringing that lube for my pussy. I never would have been able to handle your fucking 4-inch dick inside my pussy without that gigantic bottle of lube.
One last question. You're on the clock. Jonathan Taylor, Devin A-Chain, Christian McCaffrey. Devin A-Chain's not in this discussion for me based on the offense he plays in. It's scoring dependent. So in a half PPR, it's Jonathan Taylor. In a full PPR, it's Christian McCaffrey. In a full PPR, I rank it McCaffrey. It's still going to take JT over A-Chain, but it's close. In half PPR, I have A-Chain ranked way lower than consensus. I think his upside's 8 touchdowns this year, and that is his upside on that really bad Miami team. He's going to have 70 receptions. He's going to have some big plays, but that's how I'd rank it for you. I think that's it. Usually you're not supposed to see the mattress because usually it's a smaller screen, right? 'Cause there's a guest on. So it does kind of look a little trashy now that I'm seeing it, but for a good reason. It's 90 degrees here. I need to make this place a little cooler, and that's for my living room, which is right over there. But Vegeta, who else is in here that is not in the community? Guys, you should consider hopping over to the community. I'm on the Discord all the time answering these kind of questions, helping you guys draft, start sit decisions, trade questions, especially if you're dynasty leagues. I know a lot of you guys are probably very smart. Vegeta, it seems like you're a very, very smart individual. You don't need my advice very much, but it's also a great way to support the show and keep the show on the air, guys. I'm typically on 4 hours a night, every single night. That's been in the off season. So this is the shortest show we've done in a long time. You know, you're going to get me all the time on the show, but you also get me privately. And that could mean a couple things. There's a mattress right here, but great way to support the show. If you like what you're seeing, I'm working my ass off for you guys. I'm watching all the film. I'm doing all the work. So you guys don't have to. You just tune into the show, DM me on Discord, ask me any question about anything. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you guys. Also, the co-hosts on the show are elite. The community is elite. All of you guys, Jonathan, Mouth, you know who you are. So great show. Appreciate everybody for watching. Tomorrow night, we're just drafting best ball. So probably 10 p.m. Central, probably just a solo show tomorrow. And we will draft 2 or 3 teams tomorrow. Friday night, We have Nick O coming back on the show. Nick O, we're going to do a league winner show. We're going to do 5 league winners each. They can't be in the first 3 rounds. It has to be later, guys, round 4 and later. League winners. Saturday, Big Ray is coming on the show to draft some best ball and just have a fun night of drinking. Sunday, Mike Storey is coming on, and we're doing running back handcuff rankings. We're going to do a tier maker, running back handcuffs, and I have 23 names on there. We're going to discuss everything there is to know about all of the dudes that we want to back up in bench stashes for sure. Yeah, I'm not going to pass on Christian McCaffrey in a full PPR. Like, no, I can't. And I'm not saying I'm going to draft him really high. I'm going to draft him at 6. I'm still drafting JSN. I'm still drafting Puka and Jamar Chase, obviously, ahead of him. But, yeah, I'll get some Christian McCaffrey this year if he's there at 6 because it's just free money. If he gets hurt, he gets hurt. You know, you can't play fantasy scared. And every player in the NFL has a chance to get hurt. I mean, I know McCaffrey might have a higher chance. Well, last year he did, and he didn't get hurt at all, and he had 1 million touches. So we'll see how it looks this year. I just feel like he's on a great offense, and Christian McCaffrey has one last pinnacle year, one last premier year. It's not going to be what it was last year, but it could be 80% of that, and that's a super nice floor to have for a running back, and especially in PPR, right? We want a guy that can have 80 catches in his sleep. That is Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, I have 1 pug left disbanded, so I'll probably do a pug. We'll usually vote on it, so whatever the people want to do. If Derek wants to draft, we were not really close to any of the goals, but I would hop in for 1 draft if you want, Derek. Do you want to? I gotta take a little break though, because I have to take a piss and let my doggies out. So if you want to draft, we'll hop in a draft. Let's do it. Anyone else want to draft with us? Either way, Derek wants to draft. We're going to draft. You got to give me 10 minutes, though. 12:25 Central. And we will hop in and do something. I have 1 more puppy to do to get a free puppy. We'll figure it out. All right. That's it. See you in 10 minutes. I'll post it in the Discord. No, I'm down for 1 too, Derek. I'm down. I also got 0 fucking subs in a 2-hour video, which is insane. 0 subs, 0. Thanks for the super chat. 0 subs, 0 Patreon members. Not a great night for the show, but we put out some awesome information. I know the OGs appreciate that shit because it was a hell of a show. Thank you guys. We'll see you in 10 minutes. I'm going to start a new stream though, so you'll see the title, and also if you're subscribed, you'll get the notification. Or in the Discord, check for the link there. Love your life, stay positive, and respect each other. I'm out of here for 10 minutes.
You just seem like a good dude. I thought I'd see if you wanted to grab a beer, that's all. I'm glad you called. We get home safe, Pistol.
You got it, Jobin.
I'm sorry, what?
Nothing.
Oh, what'd you say?
I don't know. You nicknamed me Pistol, and I just called you Jobin. It means nothing. I'm drunk. I'm gonna call a cab.
All right, man. You have my number, yeah?
I got you stored in my iPhone.
All right. If you need me, call, okay?
Oh, man, I'm golden.
Oh, here I am. I'm leaving. 10 minutes. I'll see you guys then.